Good morning, everyone. Welcome to City Hall. This is your hall, your home, and we welcome you. This meeting is called to order. The April 3rd, 2024 meeting of the City Council is called to order. The meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV Cable Channel 2. You may also watch the meeting on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, on the Go Vegas app. The City Council meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, may be viewed on the internet at www.kclv.tv/live. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV Channel 2 Wednesday on the web, Wednesday at 8 p.m., Friday at 4 a.m., Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 7 a.m., and the following Monday at 5 p.m. This building is protected by state-of-the-art fire detection and suppression sprinkler systems. If alarms should activate during today's meeting, please evacuate using the exits at the back of the chambers, go out to the mezzanine, proceed out the double doors to the terrace, and go down the back staircase. For anyone who has difficulty with stairs, please check with one of our marshals or fire officials for assistance. Once outside, assemble on the northeast corner across the street from City Hall at Lewis and First Streets. Employees wearing safety vests or our city marshals will inform you when it's safe to re-enter the building. For public comment related to items on the agenda, citizen participation and public hearing items, we have available a speaker card which you may complete and submit to our city clerk up front here. Our cards are available in the clerk's office or at the rear of our chambers, but if you don't submit a card, it does not prevent you from speaking under public comment, citizen participation, or specified public hearing items. If anyone's present today who has need for hearing impaired equipment, also please see our city clerk up front. If you parked in the parking garage across the street, a self-validation machine is located in the foyer between City Council chambers and the security desk you walk through to enter our chambers. You must have your ticket with you to use the machine, but if you do not, please see our security personnel when exiting for a validation coupon. Before we proceed with our agenda, would everyone please rise for the invocation given by Pastor Drew Moore, Canyon Ridge Christian Church, and please remain standing for our pledge and our ceremonials. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's pray. And so, God, we pause and acknowledge you. With many valuable people here and much important work ahead, we simply do not presume that we can do what is good and right and just and helpful without your help. And so we ask for it. God, I pray that you would empower everyone who is making decisions today to make good and right and just decisions that are for your glory and for the good of our great city. I pray for each person who will participate and speak today that they would speak clearly and calmly, feel heard. I pray for a sense of listening and understanding that is supported by you, and a sense of unity among all who are making decisions. God, we're so grateful for the many who serve our city so well, from the council to the mayor to all the staff who are here today. God, we're so grateful to be in this place, and we are counting on your help. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
hear like the feedback on it, but good morning, everyone. We're so glad to have you join us today. And fortunately, Councilwoman Seaman, you're first up today with you are first, wonderful all the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like Karen and Anthony to come up, please. Thank you for being with us today. On December 28, 2023, a father of 7 children was killed during a hijacking spree at 39 years old. Today, we want to remember Jerry Lopez's extraordinary legacy as we reflect on his life and immeasurable impact on our community. We also pay tribute to his beloved wife, Karen Lopez, who continues their legacy of love and compassion. Tragically, the loss of Jerry Lopez left a void in our community and a profound sense of loss. But even as we mourn his passing, we are reminded of the incredible blessing he bestowed upon this world through his unwavering dedication to fostering and adopting special needs children. His selfless acts of kindness and his commitment to providing a loving home to those in need exemplify the true essence of humanity. Many of those children are here today. We honor Jerry Lopez not just for the lives he touched during his time on this earth, but also for the remarkable legacy he has left behind. His 7 wonderful children, his son Anthony, and his adopted children, Jaden, Isaiah, Israel, Elizabeth, Hannah, and Isaac. Though he may no longer be with us, his spirit lives on in every one of them. Through his children, Jerry's legacy of love, compassion, and strength will shine brightly, inspiring others to follow in his footsteps and make a difference in the lives of those in need. In recognizing Jerry and Karen Lopez today, we acknowledge the profound impact of their actions and the importance of their work in fostering a culture of compassion and empathy in our community. Their dedication to caring for special needs children transformed the lives of many who shared their home, serving as a beacon of hope for all of us and showing us the power of love and the difference one individual can make in the world. As we present these proclamations in honor of Jerry and Karen Lopez, let us celebrate their achievements and recommit ourselves to carrying forward their legacy of kindness, generosity, and love. Remember that even in the face of tragedy, there's always hope, and our actions can impact far beyond our lifetimes. Let us honor their memory by continuing to support and uplift those in need, fostering a culture of inclusivity and acceptance, and recognizing every individual's inherent worth and dignity. So we want to present you today with a proclamation for you and one for your husband. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I am going to read the proclamation to Jerry, your husband, and we also have one for you, okay? So whereas the mayor and the Las Vegas City Council extend our deepest gratitude and recognition to Jerry Lopez for his extraordinary dedication and compassion towards fostering and adopting special needs children, and whereas he worked tirelessly to ensure the well-being of his family, going above and beyond to support his wife in homeschooling their 7 children, 6 of them they have adopted, who have special needs, demonstrating remarkable care and devotion. And whereas he was an active and invaluable member of the community, selflessly serving in various capacities within his church, from singing in the choir to leading mission trips and Bible studies, consistently placing the needs of others above his own. And whereas he and his wife Karen opened their hearts and their home as foster parents, welcoming numerous children into their family, providing love, stability, and guidance to those who need it most, showcasing incredible resilience and compassion in the face of adversity. And whereas Anthony and his adopted children, Jaden, Isaiah, Israel, Elizabeth, Hannah, and Isaac, were the driving purpose in his life, and their lives were forever changed by his love and dedication. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and the Las Vegas City Council declare April 3rd, 2024 as Jerry Lopez Day. I'm not going to read that one. I'll just put it. We have one for you. But now I would like, Anthony, would you like to say a few words? Okay, there you go.
First, I just want to thank everyone for doing this. I know that if Dad was right here, he'd be very proud. And he was a good man and a good man of God, and I know that he'd be very proud right now if he was here.
Thank you, Anthony. He sure would be proud of all of you. And so I'm going to let Karen say a few words. Go ahead, Karen.
I want to first take this time to say thank you to everyone who has made today happen. To say thank you to Congresswoman Victoria Seaman for reaching out. I feel so blessed to be a part of this Las Vegas community. I never thought in a million years this would ever become my life. That I would become one of those stories. Waking up on December 27th, 2023, to find out that the love of my life had been tragically murdered in a senseless act of violence. There are no words to describe the pain and loss we as a family now feel every day with the loss of Jerry. The heartache as a mother I now carry, as every day my kids ask when Daddy is coming home and that they miss him. Yet I stand here today also grateful to call Las Vegas my home. The complete outpouring of love and generosity that has come since this horrific day has left me speechless. Thank you. People I know and I don't know, how both Hope and Life Church that I've called home for the last 15 years have surrounded my family in every way. If Jerry could be here today, to see all that this community has done, I know he would also be so proud and in complete awe. I'm beyond humbled and grateful to accept this honor in both myself and Jerry's name, to stand here and celebrate all the things Jerry's life represents. I wish that most of you could have met him. Jerry was the kind of man who stood for integrity in everything that he did. He never met a stranger. He was the most kindest and selfless man I knew. He sought after God and lived his life out in loving others, just as the Bible talks about. His life motto was loving God and loving others. That's why it did not take me by surprise how much he loved each child who had come into our home. From the first moment until his last, he had a father's heart towards them all. He was the kind of dad that most kids dreamed about. His whole world was centered around our kids. Most days he would come home from work and barely set his stuff down before jumping into the chaos of the day. He always went around to each kid to kiss them on the head and then come kiss me. He even gave my mom, who lived with us, a kiss on the head too. He always said every day that the best part of his day was coming home to me and the kids, that he didn't feel complete until we were all together. That is probably why we feel his absence so much every day. The hole he left is so huge that nobody can fill. The love and support he showed me as a wife, I think, is what I miss the most. He loved me unconditional and with such sacrificial love. Everything he said he was able to accomplish was because he had me by his side. But I stand here today to say I am half of who I am because of the example Jerry was in my life. He taught me how to love and to accept your blessings no matter how big or how small, to be a better friend and mother to our kids. To see how he loved and gave everything to our children made me strive to be a better person. To see how every day he got up to work to provide for our family made me want to work just as hard at home to give him that safe place to fall after a hard day's work. He was the most hardworking and dedicated man I knew. He worked jobs he did not enjoy or worked countless overtime just so I could stay home with our kids and homeschool them. Jerry was simply put a family man. Everything he did was for me and the kids. He served in many areas in our church and community, most things people never got to see. He was a behind-the-scenes kind of person, never wanted any recognition or praise. His heart was simply to serve others and to show them the love of God. So I know if he was here today, he would be beyond humble just as I am to be honored. You do not think of yourself as anything special because you just live your life daily. To me, loving others and children that come from hard places is a beautiful calling from a loving God. It's an invitation to see the heart of God for us all every day. So as I close, I once again want to thank the mayor, all of City Council, Victoria Seaman, the police, the firefighters, and the whole city of Las Vegas for this great honor. Being a part of this community and seeing how they stand with people in the face of adversity makes me want to do more to bless others. The phrase Vegas Strong, that has been birthed out of another tragedy, has so much more meaning to me now, and forever grateful for this great city. So thank you for choosing us to honor today, but I say thank you, City of Las Vegas, for all that you do.
Should we get a picture? Yes. We're going to go ahead and do it. Beautiful, beautiful, so proud of you. He's also now the Citizen of the Month, so you want to talk about Citizen?
Oh, yes. Well, no, you did.
No, you say it, Madam Mayor.
So we also have named him Citizen of the Month, so his picture will be out in front of the building. So we would, yes. We're going to go ahead and do a picture of all of us, and then after we'll invite the family up to do a picture. Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Okay. Stand right over here, right here in the middle. There you go. Come on. Yeah. Scooch up to the middle.
You want us up further?
I'm standing in front of this, okay? You can stand right wherever you want.
How about telling us who's who? Okay?
Okay.
Let's start with the adults first.
Yes.
So tell us who they are and how they're related to you. Hi, Judy.
This is my dad, Tony, my mom, Peggy. This is Jerry's mom, Maria. And Jerry's oldest brother, Chema, his wife, Chella, Angela, and Matthew. And this is our oldest, Anthony. And this is Israel, Isaiah, Jaden, Hannah, Elizabeth, and Isaac.
Wow. Is that a beautiful family? So beautiful.
You're going to scooch a little bit closer.
Tell us, just Karen,
in.
tell us where you want it.
Scooch it in, Pete. Put him up front so they can see him.
Beautiful. That's what love is. Mm. Okay. All right. We're now going to hear from Councilwoman Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, our sincere condolences to Jerry's family. Just seeing your family here inspires us as a city to see how you're still standing united even through adversity. And that's what we need as council members, as a mayor. We need that unity because we are nothing if we don't stand together in times of crises. I get to speak a little bit more about amazing organizations that help us as a city bring some awesome offerings in the art space for the city of Las Vegas. And I can't lie to you that art has been instrumental in my own upbringing and actually public speaking skills. It definitely comes in handy when you're able to go through exercises, be on a stage, have the light on you. It just is a transformational experience that I think just taking in the art, soaking them in, also helps us kind of be in tune with our humanity and be more compassionate towards each other. And so I am very grateful for my 3 honorees today for doing their work in this space to make sure that the arts continues to not just survive in our city, but to thrive. So my very first recognition, I'm going to call them up here, is FAME, Foundation to Assist Young Musicians. And so if everyone with FAME can come on down, we have Arturo Ochoa, the president, and Tim Thomas, the program coordinator, and we have a parent of FAME students, Liz Arciniega. So I love FAME because they do amazing work with our youth throughout our city. They have significant contributions and collaborations. So Foundation to Assist Young Musicians is what FAME stands for. Their commitment to music education has positively impacted the lives of hundreds of children in our city. They have individual and group guitar, cello, and violin lessons, and they have provided invaluable opportunities for our youth to explore and develop their own unique musical talents. What truly sets FAME apart is their dedication to inclusivity and diversity in music education. They bring programming to families and to children who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford these lessons from their own pockets. And I love that we, the city, partner with them to ensure that they don't have to pay for a space, so that in turn our families and our children have access to these amazing programs. I want to obviously give a shout out to Mo at the East Las Vegas Community Center, because Mo makes sure that FAME is very well taken care of. But it's not just happening out of East Las Vegas Community Center. Their music is playing out of spaces like East Las Vegas Library, the Pearson Community Center, and CCSD Family Support Center, which is really awesome. Fame has truly made an impact across our community. So on behalf of the City of Las Vegas, our beloved mayor, the entire council, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to Fame for enriching the lives of our children through the universal language of music. Your dedication and passion inspire us all, and we look forward to continuing fostering the next generation of musicians in our fabulous city. And your certificate of recognition reads, the mayor and Las Vegas City Council acknowledge the significant contributions of Fame. Their music education program has positively influenced hundreds of children in our city through individual and group guitar, cello, and violin lessons. We love the addition of the mariachi programs, specialized workshops, and camps. Thank you for enriching the lives of our children through the power of music. Give them a great round of applause. Tim, would you like to offer some words, or Arturo?
I didn't prepare anything to speak, but let me just tell you a little bit about Fame. It was started by Mr. Harold Weller a little over 17 years ago. Harold Weller was the creator and conductor of the Las Vegas Philharmonic. I was the principal at Sunrise Acres Elementary School, and I started a violin program. Mr. Weller would come to visit my children playing the violin, kindergartners, learning how to play the violin. We formed a friendship, and eventually we retired and created Fame, or the Foundation to Assist Young Musicians. One of the things that I absolutely adore about Fame is that even though I'm retired, I am still involved in education. I'm a strong believer in the Nigerian proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. And I believe that Fame is doing its part to help to raise our children. Right next to me here, we have a parent of 3 children in Fame for many, many years. We recently brought her onto our school board, onto our board for Fame. So she is now helping us make decisions and make sure that the program continues to run in a way that's positive and effective for our children. Ms. Arcienega, would you like to say hello?
Hello. I didn't prepare anything, sorry. It was like...
And we have Mr. Tim Thomas, our coordinator. Tim, would you like to say a word or two?
Thank you on behalf of Fame and all of our students. Our program is celebrating its 17th year, and we serve students all across East Las Vegas. But more importantly, the concerts that we put on, the recitals, the private lessons, our big showcases, they are attended by no less than 500 people at a time. And it's the community that is the reason why we keep going, is the community continues to show out for our events and support our kids. And just like Councilwoman Diaz was saying earlier, those moments where you get in the spotlight and it's the kids' moment to shine and it's the kids' moments to be recognized, they grow into wonderful people with confidence. And music is just a tool that we use to help students find their better futures. So thank you for the recognition, and bravo to the students of Fame.
We brought him last month. Here, come right in the center. Right in here. Perfect. Good. You gotta get a front, man.
Beautiful. We're still going? And I have to remind you all that Harold Weller, I knew him well, and he really was instrumental in every part of music here in our community, certainly with the Philharmonic, but so much more in the creation of the Smith Center for Performing Arts. So music really brings depth to the soul, and it's wonderful what you do. I know we have a great program at CCSD. In fact, all my children, some with probably pushing from my husband and me to pick up an instrument. One, of course, because the 6th grade centers and the wonderful program they had plays the viola. When he came home, he said, "Mom, I'm going to play an instrument and you're going to love it." And I said, "So what instrument did you choose?" And he said, "Viola." I said, No, you mean violin." He said, no, Mom, I really mean the viola because of the harmony. And I thought, wow, for a sixth grader, that's pretty darn good. And he plays to this day, and he's now 54 years old and plays, yes. And, of course, Councilman Creer knew them all, great friends growing up. But I'll tell you, the music, it's calming, it's reassuring, and to give any human being that joy of being able to be peaceful and creative, and either sharing with the orchestra when you have everybody who has a talent in one thing, when you put them all together, awesome. So thank you for everything you do. This really is, fame is really remarkable, and I know it will continue and grow. And Harold, wow, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next honoree is the First Friday Foundation. Corey Fagan, Executive Director, and Cherie Macy. Did she make it out? Come on up, Corey. So Corey and the First Friday Foundation have been going strong for 22 years. It's a monthly First Friday festival, which has become a beacon of artistic expression, celebration, drawing thousands of people to downtown Las Vegas. What began as an event on Colorado Street by visionary Cindy Funkhauser, which the mayor always reminds us, she never lets us forget who the pioneers were, has blossomed under the dedicated leadership of Executive Director Corey Fagan. The First Friday Festival has provided our artistic community with a vital outlet and offered our residents the opportunity to partake in the showcase of local talent, entertainment, artisans, food trucks, and also igniting the spirit of creativity and innovation. The First Friday Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, is committed to supporting local arts, culture, and education. For over 2 decades, the foundation has tirelessly worked to provide artistic opportunities for thousands of local artists and students in the Clark County School District. Through creative empowerment assemblies, contests, income-based opportunities, First Friday has successfully supported our community's artistic endeavors. And I'm proud to also learn that the foundation has celebrated its second edition of Art You OK event, which is focused on nurturing, healing, self-awareness, and expression among our youth through art, because we know that art does have the power of healing in it as well. Let us not only commend the First Friday Foundation for its extraordinary contributions, but also recognize the enduring impact that they are having every First Friday on our, not just our city, but on our hearts. These gatherings serve as more than just events. They're a celebration of our community's diversity, resilience, and boundless creativity. And so for Corey and First Friday Foundation, the mayor and Las Vegas City Council recognize your significant contributions of the First Friday Foundation over the past 2 decades. First Fridays have become a beacon for the arts community in the Arts District. We are excited for the addition of the annual Art You OK event focused on youth healing, self-awareness, and expression through artistic means. Thank you for enhancing the arts in our community.
It's an emotional morning. It is, and it makes me very proud to be a part of a community that cares so much, and it starts at the top with the city of Las Vegas and the leadership that is proven over and over again. I'm just so grateful to be a part of Ward 3, but I'm also grateful just to be a part of the Las Vegas community and be in the presence of people who really, really care. It couldn't have been better started out than the Citizen of the Month, that we lift people up when they need it and we support one another. First Friday is a collaboration. It is a community. This belongs to the entire community. It starts with the city of Las Vegas and their support in their vision for bringing people together and understanding what it takes all of the individual parts to create a healthy ecosystem within our community. And I'm always grateful to be a part of that and understanding that art truly heals. I believe that artists are here to heal the world, and I believe that if we give them a platform, they will rise above that and do so. And I believe that if we nurture our children in our schools and we give them creative outlets, we will see a much healthier community. And I'm so grateful to have that support. We have an amazing team with First Friday Foundation, from our production team to our power team to the artists that participate within the community, and all of the musicians and the local students that build their confidence out on our platforms. I couldn't be more grateful that for the community that shows up each and every First Friday and supports our local artists and small businesses. And now we have walkable spaces in the city of Las Vegas, in the Arts District. We're having new development being built where people are going to live and thrive and be able to really embrace all of the wonderful changes and the wonderful things that we've built that were started by Cindy Funkhauser, yes, 22 years ago. I've been privileged and honored to be a part of First Friday for 14 of those years, but it started a long time ago with a lot of visionaries along the way. So I'm so grateful, and thank you so much for this honor.
Dreams come true. You really do.
All right, and the very last honoree is Life is Beautiful, Kirsten Leeds. Come on up, Kirsten. So we had to round it all out with Life is Beautiful. I think that if we wake up every day saying life is beautiful, we come into work saying, yes, we're full of energy. And obviously why she is the ambassador of Life is Beautiful. So the mayor and the council acknowledges the remarkable contributions of the Life is Beautiful Festival to our community and to downtown Las Vegas. The Life is Beautiful Music and Art Festival obviously debuted in 2013, so it's hard to believe it met its 10-year anniversary last year. It's an annual 3-day event in downtown Las Vegas that focuses on music, food, art, and providing diverse learning experiences for all attendees. And it's such a hit that even post it leaving, they usually have a lot of art installations, murals, things that happen. One of them, for example, that I'm so thankful that we were able to collaborate in this manner is the heart in front of the marriage bureau or the marriage licensing. We wouldn't have been able to install that without the support. So it was a 3-way partnership, the county, the city, and Life is Beautiful coming together to bring the heart right in front of where people go and get their marriage license before they say I do. So I'm really grateful for all of those amazing additions, and then the murals that are left behind, or the artistic, let's say, creations that sometimes get left behind for the community to come back and really take them in. Over the years, Life is Beautiful, it has attracted over 180,000 people to downtown Las Vegas, significantly contributing to the city's vibrancy and obviously our economic health. The festival's community investment has enhanced the beauty of our parks, public spaces, because we've also partnered to bring mural installations by local artists to Doug Selby Park, Rotary Park, and the stunning, obviously, big art sculpture that I mentioned before. Again, thank you so much. We hope that Life is Beautiful continues to go strong in the city. You can't leave us. After 10 years of us being together, you guys got to keep it in the city. But we really have so much respect for the festival that you've done. And I know Tony Shea was a big visionary behind this project. So I also wouldn't be remiss if I didn't mention Tony's just larger than life vision of so many amazing things to bring to our community. And I just want to thank you all for supporting again, arts in our fabulous city of Las Vegas community. So the mayor and the Las Vegas City Council recognize Life is Beautiful's significant contribution throughout the last decade. We are grateful for your support of local artists through commissioning of mural projects and art activations. Your initiative has enriched our community by bringing more art installations to our neighborhoods across the city. We really thank you for supporting the arts in Las Vegas.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to take a second to thank the city and everybody in attendance. Since the festival started, as she said, in 2013, it's been a journey. It started out as a very crazy little idea that Tony Shea had, and it's blossomed into this really wonderful event and experience. And I can pretty confidently say that we would not be here today if it weren't for the support of the city and for the support of our community, and truly with the support of foundation, like the Foundation to Assist Young Musicians and First Friday Foundation. As Art mentioned, it takes a village, and we wouldn't be here without all of our community members and everybody that really gives us something to celebrate and elevate and shine a light on all of the talent that's here in Las Vegas, because there is a lot of it. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time this morning, and thank you to everybody here for making this community a really beautiful one to live in. See what I did there? Thank you.
That's it for me, Mayor. That's a wrap.
Okay, we're going to wait for technology to catch up with us, so you probably have about 5 minutes for a little recess here before our council meeting begins. And thank you all for being part of this. We do live in a phenomenal community of people who are giving, supportive, involved, and caring. So God bless you all. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Next time.
We're ready, team? Okay. Well, those were lovely ceremonials this morning. We just really, that was a home run. That was so nice and meaningful. Okay, so my goodness, we're right at the very beginning. Goodness. Okay. 7? Okay. This is agenda item 7. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. The amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. All comments will be cross-referenced to those specific agenda items. If anyone submitted a speaker card who wishes to speak under this portion of the agenda, please come to the microphone and to the podium and state your name for the record. It's your opportunity to address council, but council will not respond or engage in dialogue. We'll set the time at 1 minute, and that's 1 moment. Okay, hearing and seeing no one, we will move on to agenda item 8. For possible action, any items from the 9:30 session that the council staff and/or applicant wish to be stricken, tabled, withdrawn, or held in abeyance to a future meeting may be brought forward and acted upon at this time. Mayor Pro Tem, what do you have in store today?
Thank you, Mayor. I have 4 items. Item 13, to approve a grant agreement between the City of Las Vegas and Vegas PBS in the amount not to exceed $481,700 for the purpose of providing workforce education and training, apprenticeships, and career certification. There's an abeyance request by staff until the June 5th, 2024 City Council meeting. Item 27, R16, 2024. There's an abeyance request by staff until the June 5th, 2024 City Council meeting. Item 36, 23-0467-VAR1. Applicant is Maria Rodriguez. Owner is Raul Gill and Maria Gill at 1201 South Commerce Street. There's an abeyance requested by the applicant until the May 15th, 2024 City Council meeting. And item 37, 24-0045, ROC1, review of condition at public hearing, applicant Lucky's 1 Farm 82 LLC, DBA Lucky's Lounge, owner Piedmont family. There's an abeyance requested by the applicant until the May 15th, 2024 City Council meeting. That'll be my motion.
Thank you. There's a motion, please. And please vote, and please post. And the motion carries. We'll move on to agenda item 9 for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference to the March 6, 2024 regular City Council meeting. Mayor Pro Tem, may I have a motion to approve those minutes, please?
Move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. There's a motion to approve those minutes. And please post. And that motion carries, and we'll move on now to agenda item 10. Items 10 through 28, with the exception of 13 and 27 on the consent agenda, are considered to be routine and recommended for approval by the departments and may be enacted in one motion. Mayor Pro Tem may have a motion on the consent agenda, items 10 through 28, please.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. There's a motion. Please vote and please post. Okay, and that motion carries. Now 29, public hearing on local improvement district for special improvement district 1485 Alta Drive landscape maintenance fiscal year 2025. This is in Ward 1 with Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Knudsen. It's a public hearing which I declare open. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and Council. I am Tim Parks, Engineering Program Manager with the Department of Public Works, for the record. This item is concerning SID 1485 Alta Drive Maintenance District. SID 1485 consists of 37 properties along Alta Drive between Rancho Drive and approximately 275 feet west of Lacey Lane. This district covers the annual costs of landscape maintenance, utility services, and plant attrition for the period between July 1, 2024 and June 30th, 2025. It is renewed annually, and the assessment for the period totals $118,050, which is paid 100% by the property owners. No written protests have been filed in the City Clerk's office, which concludes the report for SID 1485.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing since it was a public hearing only. No actions required. We'll move on to the next item, unless you have something that you're worth. No, we're good. Thank you very much. We'll move on to agenda item 30, public hearing on local improvement district, special improvement district number 1516, Fremont Street Maintenance District, fiscal year 2025, Las Vegas Boulevard to 8th Street with Ward 3 and Councilwoman Diaz. This also is a public hearing, which I declare open, and let's go back and restate your name again, please.
Once again, I'm Tim Parks with the Department of Public Works for the record. This item is concerning SID 1516 Fremont Street Maintenance District. SID 1516 consists of 32 parcels bound by Las Vegas Boulevard to the west, Ogden Avenue to the north, Carson Avenue to the south, and 8th Street to the east. This district covers the annual costs of landscape maintenance, street cleaning, public utilities, promotional events, and marketing for the period between July 1, 2024 and June 30th, 2025. It is renewed annually, and upon close coordination with the Fremont East Entertainment District Board, there will be no assessment this year due to sufficient reserves to cover expected expenses. This SID is paid 100% by the property owners. No written protests have been filed in the city clerk's office, which concludes the report for SID 1516.
Wonderful. We love news like that one. All taken care of. Anyone else wishing to be heard on agenda item 30, please come forward, state your name. Hearing and seeing no one, I'll close public hearing. And again, since this is a public hearing only, no action is required. We'll move on to the next item. Thank you, Mr. Parks. Okay, we're into 31. Item 31 will be heard after the community development discussion section of the agenda. We're just flipping right along here. This is amazing. Agenda item 32, discussion for possible action, the ratification of Anthony Ruggiero as hearing commissioner for the Las Vegas Municipal Court, $100,156 plus benefits out of the general fund. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Jack Esslinger, Court Administrator for the Las Vegas Municipal Court. Would like to introduce you to Mr. Ruggiero. He began his service to the city as a special assistant to the City Council in 2009. He left the city in 2016 and earned his Juris Doctorate degree from the William S. Boyd School of Law. In addition to his law degree, Anthony has also obtained a master's degree in public administration. Since graduating from law school, Anthony has clerked for the Legal Aid Center of Nevada. He has been a judicial law clerk for 8th Judicial District Court Judge Mark Bayless, and has worked as a guardianship staff attorney for the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada as well. Anthony once again joined the city team in April of 2019 as a deputy city attorney in the criminal division. While working his way up as a deputy city attorney too, Anthony has served with distinction and has been an asset to the city attorney's office. Anthony developed and has maintained a good relationship with the judges of the Las Vegas Municipal Court and is well liked and respected by his peers and staff in the city attorney's office and among the staff of the municipal court as well. As court administrator for the Las Vegas Municipal Court, I present Deputy City Attorney Anthony Ruggiero as my selection for hearing commissioner for ratification by the mayor and council.
Thank you very much. Would you care to say anything? Please decide.
I'll wait until after the vote if that's okay.
You know, I have to tell you all, he's learned a lot over the years, this guy. He came in, was on city council and doing law school at night. So talk about ambition and commitment and sticking to it all. It really is. We never know what we're capable of unless we really put the effort in. And so to commend you, and I know everybody has probably known Anthony for a long time, and then you were with our Lieutenant Governor, yes, with Stavros Anthony. And how many years were you with him?
I was with him.
Oh, yeah, microphone.
Sorry, Mayor. I've known Stavros since 2001. We've been friends for over 2 decades. But I was his special assistant liaison from 2009 through 2016.
Well, it's wonderful. And night times. You had long days in those days.
I'll be mentioning those.
Right. So wonderful. Any comments, questions before we move on this? How about it, Mayor Pro Tem?
Madam Mayor, with the recommendation from the court and after many years of knowing you, congratulations, and it's my honor to recommend approval and a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Thank you. This motion to approve the recommendation. Please vote and please post. drawing it out. The computer's not up with us quite yet. I want you to suffer a little. Okay, now.
For the record, my name's Anthony Ruggiero, now hearing commissioner for the municipal court for the city of Las Vegas. I want to thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and all the city council. It is an honor and a privilege to have been approved as hearing commissioner. I'd first like to thank God, who always lifted me up when I was down and who taught me to do unto others as I'd have done to me. God helps those who help themselves. So each day in everything I do, I try to be better than the day before. I'd like to thank my family, my dad, who taught me to work hard and save, and my mom, who always motivated me to be a better me. But I'd especially like to thank my wife, Barbara. I love her very much, and without her, I wouldn't be here today. She's my everything, and she's been with me through the good times and the bad. She supported me through 6 years of night school, bar exams, career changes, etc. I couldn't have done any of this without you.
Please stand up, Barbara.
Stand up.
No. You're sainted, for heaven's sake, putting up with him. No. You have to get up, please. And that's it. Sorry. I know the crazies, and I know how hard he was working during the days and then at night, and his devotion to you and the family, everything that you're sainted. Thank you, Barbara.
I'd also like to thank Chief Judge Cynthia Leung, all the municipal court judges, Court Administrator Jack Esslinger, and his administration for selecting me as hearing commissioner. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I will work my tail off to prove you made the right selection, and I will always strive to maintain the independence, integrity, and impartiality of the municipal court for the city of Las Vegas. I'd also like to thank everyone in the city attorney's office, especially Jeff Dorkak, Carly Helbert, and all my colleagues. I believe your leadership, mentorship, and friendship has prepared me for my new position. I'll miss seeing you every day. Finally, I'd like to thank the city of Las Vegas. I love where I work. There's no better place to work than the city of Las Vegas. I want every city employee to know that the city of Las Vegas is the finest place to work, and there are no bounds to what you can become with the city of Las Vegas. The city has afforded me every opportunity to achieve all my goals, including higher education, professional employment, and now an appointed position. If I could do it, so can you. Dream big, and big things will happen. Thank you all again for everything.
Beautifully done. Look there. Anthony, look. Lieutenant Governor, look at what you've done. Congratulations. Thank you all for coming down. We appreciate it. Okay, we will now move on to our Parks and Recreation. Discussion for possible action regarding the adoption of the City of Las Vegas Public Art Master Plan. This is in reference to all wards. And good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. My name's Maggie Plaster. I'm the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. And I'm joined today, we got caught up in the outflow. I'm joined today by Amanda Rawson, who's the project manager with Art Builds Community out of San Jose. And we're really excited about continuing the conversation about the arts this morning and how great the city of Las Vegas is, and present our public art master plan as reviewed and recommended by the Las Vegas Arts Commission. So the plan before you today is the third public art master plan for the city. The first plan in 1998 helped to inspire the development of the city's Percent for the Arts program. The second in 2013 spurred development of permanent and site-specific projects. And this current plan evaluates the growth of the program, realigns the program with fundamental best practices, and recommends pathways towards continued responsible development of the program. And honestly, the timing couldn't be better, because through the Percent for the Arts Fund, the general fund, and donations, we now have more than 1,000 items in our collections. And since fiscal year 2015, we've had more than $4.5 million transferred into the Percent for the Arts Fund. Funding for this new public art master plan was approved as part of our fiscal year 23 municipal arts plan, which was approved by the Arts Commission on September 15th, 2022, and then by the City Council on November 16th of 2022. We hired Arts Builds Community, our consulting team, in January 23, and after more than a year of thoughtful engagement and feedback with the community, the Las Vegas Arts Commission recommended their approval of this public art master plan at their last meeting on March 21st. So the new plan contains observations of the program and growth to date, a breakdown of methodology in researching and gaining community feedback. We have an updated mission, vision, and goals for our public art and gallery program, and we have basically a roadmap for the next 10 years of the program. It also includes a strategic implementation grid, a summary of the community engagement components, including our survey results, a copy of our Muni Code Chapter 2.34, which guides much of our public art programming, and it includes proposed policies and procedures for management of our collection and deaccessioning and donations. And very importantly, it includes a summary of other similarly sized and regionally comparable cities with Percent for Arts and private development programs, which would be the appropriate next step when the time is right. And now I'll turn it over to Amanda to cover the timeline, community engagement efforts, and our 8 recommendations.
Hello, good morning. My name is Amanda Rawson. I'm here representing Art Builds Community. We've been really excited to work with the City of Las Vegas this last, I'd say, 13 months now. So thank you, Maggie, for all of that information you just provided. As she mentioned, Art Builds Community was awarded the project in January 2023. The timeline shown here demonstrates how the planning process took place, developing and evolving to our final plan today after more than a year of thoughtful engagement and feedback. To develop this plan, community engagement was really key in our process. We kicked off this project at the 2023 first annual Las Vegas and Culture Summit hosted by the city. We were able to make some key introductions with community members and learn more about the larger arts community here in the city. Our team visited again in May and made time to meet with council members and their arts commissioners and learn more about the city's program and collection. Throughout the planning process, we also had a presence and engaged with community at the May 2023 First Friday Art Walk, the second annual Symphony Park Fine Arts Festival, and the Bridges exhibition opening reception and iridescence market at New Wu Art Gallery and Community Center in June 2023. This community engagement included working with New Wu Artists Collective to develop materials and ways to connect with the community while at these public events. We also had 2 online and open to the public community meetings, as well as focused meetings with the leadership of key city departments. The public art team regularly engages, and the public art team regularly engages with through the program. So we had 3 steering committee meetings where we had a number of community members a part of those meetings throughout the community engagement process. We also had focus group meetings with representatives from the private development side as we helped to guide the city towards learning how to build out the program towards alternate and additional funding sources. We presented our findings to the Arts Commission on October 19th, 2023. ABC also studied a number of plans the city has previously developed in order to identify opportunities for artwork to respond to the recommendations within those plans through the new Public Art Master Plan. The distillation of the community engagement and research resulted in the establishment of what you see here, a vision, mission, and also goals. The goals are in alignment with the city's 2050 master plan, including addressing innovation, livability, equity, resiliency, and engagement through the arts. Resulting from the research and community engagement, we worked with the city's team to identify 8 distinct recommendations for the program, addressing the areas of telling diverse stories of the community, enhancing the experience with the natural environment, supporting neighborhood revitalization, supporting local and regional artists, educating the community about the collection and program, increasing support and participation in the program, expanding funding opportunities, and updating policies and procedures. I'm going to speak a little bit on the implementation grid that we developed with staff. These recommendations were then incorporated into an implementation grid, strategically guiding the city's team as to how best to accomplish the items identified within the recommendations. Looking at the short term, next to 2 years, the midterm of 3 to 5 years, and the long term of 6 to 10 years. The short-term items focus on program-wide policy and improvement processes, including the adoption of a collections management, the accession and donation policy, as well as greater focus on incorporating engagement within the city's existing projects and programming. This helps to ensure strategic alliance with industry-wide best practices, setting the city up for success. I know that is kind of blurry, but I know you all have copies of the plans soon. I hope you're able to read through that page and the following ones. The midterm items direct more of the planning and preparations phase for some of the more long-term goals and build upon the successes of the short-term items. Projects and programs requiring changes in response to the completion of short-term goals may begin to take form or be implemented. So for the midterm 6 to 10 years, the long-term items focus on the commissioning of new projects in alignment with the plan and building upon the policies, procedures, and programs adopted. This isn't to say that the city couldn't begin to incorporate some of these projects into conversations around new project development, but rather it allows for the city's team to honor and conclude the projects they've committed to currently, as these projects typically take more than 1 year to complete. The plan also includes, as previously mentioned, a summary of other similarly sized and regionally comparable cities with % for arts and private development programs, which would be an appropriate next step for the program to take when this time is right. It details the city, state, and population, as well as the department within their organization which would oversee their programs, and demonstrates which cities have a public % for the arts program, as the City of Las Vegas does, referencing Chapter 2.34 of the Las Vegas Municipal Code, in which cities have a private % for the arts and event grant programs. I want to acknowledge the people who were able to support us in this work. It could not have been completed without support from city and community members. We want to acknowledge the city leadership, the arts commissioners, current and former, the partnering departments that we were able to speak with throughout the process, steering committee members, as well as community members, and the public art and gallery program staff to complete this complete public art master plan for the City of Las Vegas. Thank you.
So that concludes our formal presentation. Since this plan will be our roadmap for the next 10 years, please let me know if you have comments or questions.
Okay, any comments, please? Yes, please. We'll take them all.
Thank you. Sorry. You know, I never... I have a couple of requests, and I don't know if it's too late. It's a very formal-looking document. But I think on your long-term recommendations, the 6 to 10 years, it's page number 60. I think, let's see. Yes, it's the last recommendation. It says, work with community groups and neighborhood associations where there are specific neighborhood plans to commission functional art such as wayfinding, seating, lighting, trash cans. On that, it's wards 5 and 3, but I think there's definite opportunity within the medical district if we can incorporate Ward 1, especially as there's so much development and there's going to be so many more people in that area. Wayfinding and public seating areas would be appreciated. And that kind of leads me to my next request, which is on the previous page, page number 59. And it's again, it's 6 to 10 years. It's create partnerships between private property owners and the city of Las Vegas. And that one, I just think that 6 to 10 years, I think you could do a lot of that now. I don't know why we'd wait 6 to 10 years, because in the conversations I'm having with developers, I think they're open to it. They don't understand it yet, but I think they're definitely open. And for me in the medical district, every conversation I have with a developer always includes, can we incorporate public art? They just haven't figured out how to do it yet. And so I don't know why we'd wait 10 years to map that out. I think you could do it tomorrow. And then I noticed in your list of people that you've met with that Public Works is not included in that. Okay. But in my experience, I'm doing a whole lot with Public Works that has a lot to do with public art. And so I think that we should try to create a better understanding between the cultural affairs group and the Public Works staff. And I think everything that you presented was great. So those are my requests. I appreciate it.
So Maggie Plaster, for the record, we do have a recommendation in there where we should be meeting on a yearly basis at the beginning of the budget cycle with Public Works and Finance to talk about what's going to percent for the arts and how we can include public art into capital projects. So that was an oversight to not have them on the list of acknowledgements. Okay. We can always make changes. It's never too late to make changes. We will include Ward 1 on the first item that you mentioned. And as far as waiting 6 years, when I was looking at this plan, I was thinking it's always better to under-promise and over-deliver. So I think that we're already in discussions about how to include private development. I know that planning is working with a consultant right now on revising the form-based code. And so we will be looking at the medical district and the arts district for private development, some changes to the ordinance regarding that.
That'd be great, and it literally is tomorrow, because there's groups that are coming in right now that are presenting building ideas, and it's very easy, I think, as a council person to say, can you incorporate X into it? But I don't know what X is. I'll need help with that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you. And Councilman Greer, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation, and big supporter of art and public art in the master plan. One of the things that I've been talking about and asking our leadership about is, although we need to promote and we need to incorporate local artists into what we do and all that entails of us, but I do think there's an opportunity, especially being in Las Vegas, which is a world-class city that gets 40+ million visitors and 20 million visitors to downtown Las Vegas, to incorporate public art on a more of a global scale with world-class artists like Jeff Koons and Damien Hirst, and to create, like, as we're building out the medical district, imagine having a centerpiece sculpture from Jeff Koons that people would come to see.
Yes.
It would be a must. People would go visit, and they would go down and take pictures, and they would be incorporated, and it would round out what we're doing. It's not incorporated in this, which I think is and everything is great, but I think it's a miss. And I think that if we are looking to truly, I mean, you can go around the world, New York City, Philly, England, Barcelona, and it's public art on a scale that is world class. And so I think that's something that we need to strive for. There's a lot of philanthropy within the city that would support that. You know, we're looking to bring in the Las Vegas Museum of Art. How do we incorporate that in something that the city can support, that they can support, where we have a Damien Hirst sculpture in Symphony Park or in the medical district or someplace that you may not think about. I think that needs to be incorporated into our vision and our plan is something that needs to be constantly talked about and how we're going to get there. Thank you.
One of the recommendations was to identify projects that would be specifically for local artists. So I think that what it didn't say is that there will be projects for national well-known artists. It just wasn't identified in the plan. During the meetings with the consulting group who helped us with this plan, and we had lots of locals, from Las Vegas on that committee, we were talking about the mission statement, and someone recommended we include local artists, a focus on local artists in the mission statement, and there was some discussion that, no, let's not just focus on local artists. It has to be broader than that because we're Las Vegas. So I hear what you're saying, and I think that the Arts Commission supports bringing in artists of all types for our public art program.
Well, that's fine, but we in government we do a lot of talking, a lot of conversations, and we need to do it needs to be here. It needs to be, as you know, we talk about a lot, and if it's not prioritized, and if we don't. If it's not on our CIP list, then it's just a conversation. If it's not on our SNPLA list, it's just a conversation, right? So we need to make sure that it is a part of the arts plan, the master plan, and something that somebody is working towards within the city of Las Vegas.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just really excited because I know that I bring your department quite often to speak to me about just our desire to see more art throughout Ward 3. So I know that in these last 4.5 years, we've been having a lot of thoughtful conversations back and forth about moving the needle. I like that we have a plan, right? So sometimes when we don't have a plan and we don't have a holy grail, to my colleague's point, it won't ever happen. And I think that this makes us more focused, and it makes us continue to improve the plan. Not that this is the best iteration of it, but I think it at least gives us a starting point and a launching pad to say this is what we want to see. I've been very encouraged by the participation of the arts community in both of our art summits that we've held. And I think that we definitely need to tackle as one collective of pro artists, how do we have a better revenue stream to support the arts? Because we at the local level can execute a lot faster, and we have small yet mighty teams who move the work and want to see more of it done, but sometimes it is contingent upon how many funds we really have to deploy to bring international artists, to do more art installations. And so I think that hopefully we can get that revenue stream identified and hopefully blessed in the next couple of years, because I think we're going to definitely see if that is accomplished, we're going to see this kind of explode, and then the sky will be the limit. I did want to also mention it's really cool to hear from even residents now saying, can we get some of the art boxes in our neighborhood? So the AMP boxes, which I feel has provided our local artist community an opportunity to bring their art to, whether it's a traffic box or a water box or those wonderful public works things that stick out, and sometimes they're being tagged or not well cared for. It's an eyesore in the community. Now I have requests coming through my office, how can we get one of those in our neighborhood? And so I think it just is a matter of pride for me to see how far we have come in 4.5, and I'm super excited to see how much farther we're going to get with your work and the meeting of the minds. And I just want to give a shout out to all the Ward 3 residents who were very engaged, because I see many of their names listed. So thank you so much, and I look forward, and I hope you know you have a partner in me to continue the work.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And for anyone who wants more AMP projects in their ward, we were going to discuss that at our next Project Development Arts Subcommittee meeting, and that's in August. So please tell us what you'd like to see, and we'll get that funded.
Councilwoman Bruni, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Great report. I really appreciate the level of detail. I had one question, excuse me, about the recommendations. One of them is the long term. It's on page 57. and it says commission permanent and temporary art that amplifies the city's diverse stories, and it says to begin work in Ward 5 and then followed by work in Wards 3 and 4. And I was just wondering, if Ward 6 could be included, even Wards 2 and 1, because I know I'm hearing from a lot of my residents that they really want more art out in Ward 6. And then this is a very thorough plan, but I guess for me, one of the missing pieces was sort of the workforce piece. And so I was wondering if there was an explicit conversation about not thinking about workforce and pipeline. I know you have one recommendation related to the docents, but just thinking about partnerships either with our university system or some of our high schools that have really strong art programs as a way to start identifying those young local artists and then hopefully moving them into some of the programs that you've identified here.
Do you want to speak? Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilwoman Byrne. Thank you for your comments. And regarding the implementation plan, the way that we approached that was to name the wards that we thought could be the first to kick off. Maybe it was a miss to not include all of them. I think including all of them, we didn't want it to come off as something that would happen immediately, but it is not something that's going to be forgotten and not given any attention. So I just wanted to mention that really briefly. Regarding the workforce plan, that is something we heard a lot from the advisory committee, more so during our conversations with them to discuss how more partnerships can happen for not just youth, but different generations. So providing opportunities for those who maybe just retired. So I believe we mentioned that in the plan briefly. And also we did speak with UNLV, the director of the art museum there, and discussed how a relationship can happen with them, a stronger relationship can happen. We know that something is already in the works with the city. There is an internship program. So, there are things that are happening. The plan does mention some items in regards to building a workforce so that the education can be furthered on the public art program. Perhaps we can go back and look and just to give it another look through.
In reference to all of this, I think the plan's great. What we have done and what you look at the Frank Gehry designed Lou Ruvo Memory Center here. People come, they're always from around the world taking photos of it. We've heard from everybody in Symphony Park that they're looking forward to the development of public art and how do you protect it. Couple of things I wanted to mention. You mentioned the 2050 master plan. As this integrates with that, instructions or a piece on how developers coming in, what is their place and how do they fit? That's just a question. I think before you go to publish the next piece, I'd like to meet with you because of that says who we are, and there are a couple of grammatical things that don't look really good.
Yes.
And so I'd like to do that with you. And I think from day one that I can recall, and I think it's been alluded to, we're trying to build a world-class city. Mm-hmm. And integrally, art is very much part of that. Any world-recognized area, it is because of its art. So I know this is a fluid piece you're creating, and then as every one of them are dated and you are putting a timeline, you have sort of a generalized one, but for input from the public. And I think Councilwoman Bruni's comment about every different part of southern Nevada, and maybe all of Nevada, how they're going to fit in, how you're going to go to the next stage, what do they do in the interim, who's collecting the concepts and ideas. But I know as we build world class, it cannot be anything that's hokey and constantly changing, because there'll be displays of new artists and things that can happen in an area, but world class. Mm-hmm. And that Frank Gehry building, we see it all the time next door to City Hall. and how that draws. It's on people's lists who want to see great architecture and how that fits in. So I think the report's beautiful, beautifully done. You comprehensively taken in so much, and to come up with something so rich and promising as this. Then the beauty is the input as you continue to go forward. So we thank you. We do need a motion to accept it.
Mayor, Jeff Dorkak, City Attorney. This is an action item for the report to be approved by the City Council, and then I would ask Director Plaster, based on the general feedback, I think this one should be done probably with a motion to approve and the amendments laid out by various members of, it looked like you guys were taking notes, so you'll kind of have a sheet after the fact. So yeah, let's have a motion for approval with the amendments requested by various members of the council, just so we can memorialize that in our record as well.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move the acceptance of the City of Las Vegas Public Art Master Plan 2024 and approve that plan. So if you'll all...
With the various suggested changes from the members of the council. Is like Councilman, or MPT Knutson...
I'd like to accept it as it is, and since they've...
And then they'll come back.
Let's follow up with that.
You guys gonna...
Let's have it just pure as it is and accept it, and then...
And then they can bring it back?
Yeah. If that's all right.
They'll come back for another day.
Yeah, because we want them for another day. And we all voted and we all approved. So thank you very much. Beautiful job.
Thank you.
Proud of you, Miss Plaster. Good job. Okay. Now we're into 34. Recommending committee bills eligible for adoption at a later meeting. Item number 34, Bill 2023-28, will be heard at a later meeting. Okay. Item 35 on the consent agenda, considered to be routine, is recommended for approval by the Department of Community Development. Mayor Pro Tem, may I have a motion to approve this consent agenda item?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. There's a motion. Please vote. Please post. And that motion carries, and now we're on to, we're moving right along to item 31. And this is discussion for possible action regarding the recommendation fiscal year 2025 tentative budget for the City of Las Vegas and the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency, all wards. And here we go.
Good. Member of City Council, good morning. And before we get started, let me start off by introducing our team. Mike Jansen, City Manager.
Susan Heltzley, Director of Finance.
And Steve Ford, Deputy City Manager.
So what I'd like to start off with is just tell you how welcoming it is to get feedback from you all throughout the year on what our needs are to become a great city and to be a city that stays a great city for our residents, our business owners, to just choose to come to City of Las Vegas. And so as an example, throughout the year, we take your feedback to build our budget. And that's been the case as many years as I can recall being here. That's just how we always do it. And so as an example, this last item, we had some great feedback from you as it related to the Arts Master Plan, and between now the tentative budget and the final budget that we'll be back to you in next month, we're going to look to see what we might be able to do to address some of the feedback that we heard from you. So just want to put that on the record that we hear you, and we're going to see what we can do as it relates to that particular item on the Arts Master Plan. So, we talk all the time about, how do we sit down with our team to establish a budget? And first and foremost, it starts every year with your council priorities that you have established. And I can tell you there's not a director in the room here today or anyone on our team that hasn't been following what those priorities have been for quite a number of years. And as you see on this slide, it starts with public safety, healthcare, and diversifying the economy. I would say hardly a day goes by that I haven't spoken with one of you about something related to public safety, whether You name it, it's a conversation we have all the time. And just yesterday afternoon, I was meeting with Mayor Goodman, and we were talking about public safety, specifically related to things like streetlights, how important they are for public safety. Well, I'm happy to tell you, after I left that meeting with Mayor Goodman yesterday, I was informed that our congressional team has just allocated to us $2.5 million grant towards streetlight upgrades. And this budget that's in front of you has additional funding in it for citywide transportation safety improvements. And again, we hear the feedback from our residents, from our business owners, and certainly from you all. And our entire team figures, how do we achieve that? And so again, kudos to our entire government affairs team and our public works team for going after showing the need for lighting upgrades. And so wanted to start off just really by reiterating the importance of your priorities to us. Secondly, once we address your priorities in a budget, the next thing is we're only as good as our team. Everything that we do as a city is because of the staff that we have. And so organizational health has to be the next area of focus for us when we're trying to put together a budget. And so what you'll see in this budget is a variety of tools related to enhancing how we recruit and how we retain our employees. Just a couple of examples to give you. Many of you all know how social media has become a key tool for reaching out to individuals. There's a particular tool on LinkedIn known as LinkedIn Recruiter account. It's a very, very wide-reaching tool. We have budget in here so that we can have that account to further reach potential candidates. Another thing that's really important to our employees and to everything we do is every couple of years we try to do an employee survey, but there's a cost to doing that survey. This is the year where we allocate the budget towards our next employee survey. That's something that we'll be rolling out this fall, and that's really important to get a temperature check to see how we're doing, how our employees doing, so that we can take that feedback and do whatever's necessary to ensure that we continue to have a great workforce. And then you'll see here enhancing training budgets. When the pandemic hit, we had to zero out in many ways a lot of discretionary dollars. We weren't sure how big the impact was going to be in 2020. Thankfully, it hasn't been as bad as everyone had thought. But regardless, to be conservative, we zeroed out a lot of the budget for training. Last year, we added some back, and this year, a lot of directors had asked, hey, we'd like to see our training budget get back to where it was originally pre-pandemic. So this budget is doing that to bring that training part back, because it's just so important to continue to strengthen our employees. So we focus on your priorities, we focus on our staff, and then the next thing has to be the overall fiscal health of the city. And so what's before you today as a tentative budget is a conservative budget. It's a budget that is trying to live within our means as a city. I will tell you, one of the things that I like to look at is how we are with the top 25 largest cities in the country. I'm constantly monitoring, we're 24 in terms of population, and I'm constantly monitoring what's happening across our peer cities. And I will tell you, many of our peer cities are facing significant budget challenges this year. But we are submitting to you today a balanced budget, and that's because our team has done what's necessary so that we stay within our means and we don't get into a situation that is very, very hard to work through. So we have a conservative budget for you that's largely status quo. We're not adding a lot to the budget this year. You'll see in some of the upcoming slides we are adding some positions, but we're not adding a ton. And again, it's to stay within our means so that at the end of the day, we have a city that maintains our AA rating, our bond rating. It's a very important part of our city's operations. And then our reserve levels. A number of years ago, you all passed some policy related to our reserve levels. As a community that doesn't have the amount of diversification that some cities has for jobs, when we have a bump in our economy, it's our reserves that gets us through that. So it was really important that this budget maintains the reserve levels that you all identified as a priority for our city. And then the next big chunk certainly is the things that all of our residents, all of our business owners, they can touch and feel. That park bench in a park, that pool, that ball field, you name it. That's our capital program. And I will tell you, this year's budget has less funding. We had a lot of funding on the federal level that allowed us to have a couple of large capital budgets the last 2 years. This year's is less. But again, going back to your priorities, you'll see in an upcoming slide, this budget, our CIP program, focused on delivering a lot of key public safety projects that you all have brought to our attention throughout the year, projects that we've been working on actually for many years, and again, you'll see that in a slide. And then another component of capital. Capital projects take a long time. I know I'd sit down with Councilman Creer and we'd say we're going to start off with a preliminary study. We're going to develop it to then a conceptual design, and you work through all the steps, but you continue working through them. And when you work through them like we do, you have the great part, which is that ribbon cut to open up a great new facility. And this budget has the dollars allocated to get us through some of the projects that we've been working on, where huge budget increases have hit materials, labor, and supplies. So we've covered the inflationary costs. We've also recognizing there's always bidding volatility in our community. When we're putting projects out, so are many of our other community members, and that's competition for work. And so, again, just an overall budget theme for you to start off with today. Getting a little bit more granular into our budget, again, going back to your three priorities, as it relates to public safety. A number of years ago, we started a program working with the fire chief and the fire team, having full-time dedicated fire training officers rather than a regular rotation. And this year, we're adding another fire training officer to our fire training academy. We want to continue to have the best and brightest fire team, and this is one way that we're doing it. We talk a lot this year about nationwide challenges for paramedics. This budget has additional funds to add 20 additional students to paramedic school. Over an 18-month period between FY24 and FY25, talking closely with the fire chief, we'll have put a total of about 65 members in the paramedic school, and that's by leveraging all the different opportunities that are out there to have more students go through the paramedic school. It's just such an important part of what we do. It kind of covers two areas, right? It covers our public safety component, but it also covers our healthcare focus. So important to have some funds for the paramedic school. We talk with you all about some of the things that happen at night in some of the wards, things that are occurring at parks that should not be occurring, just various challenges related with that graveyard period. And so in this budget, we're expanding the officers that we have assigned to the graveyard by adding 2 additional deputy city marshals. A program that has been getting terrific feedback from business owners, particularly along the entire Fremont Street Experience corridor. I will tell you, all of them have noticed our problem-oriented policing team that we only started a few months ago. The feedback has been so good, so positive by all the business community, by our tourists that are visiting, that this budget has 2 additional problem-oriented policing officers assigned to the budget. We had a lot of conversations this year about all things related to animal control, animal support, and as you know, this budget includes some of the rework that we've done with the contract with the Animal Foundation. It sets us up for when that contract will be going out to bid. And when I talk about the Animal Foundation contract, that was about $1 million to make some of those adjustments, but it also included funding for us to take over the shelter building that was not currently under our control. That was about $15 million. And throughout all the conversations that we've had throughout the year on all things animal control related, this budget also includes funds for additional support for our DPS animal control team related to Hearts Alive and Heaven Can Wait, for support related to microchipping. And I will say, you know, we talk about the microchipping ordinance we passed, such an important part of our animal control team to be able to have microchipping done. So we've got support contracts with Hearts Alive with some additional veterinary service as well. So a lot of focus on that part of what makes us a great city related to all things animal control. And on that same token, we also got grants this year to add canines to our DPS and fire teams. The grants paid for some of the initial work. This budget covers the ongoing cost that comes with adding a program like K9 to those 2 departments. And then we have to leverage private security. As an example, in this building here, we have marshals that are worked out of this building for our office hours, but then we supplement during off time, late in the evening, on the weekends. We have security contracts, and we use them throughout the city for a variety of functions. We've added parks, we've added community centers, so this budget adds the additional budget needed to continue to have that support, contract support, as it relates to some of the private security. When we look at healthcare, There's so many different things we're doing as a community to address our healthcare conditions. One such program is this budget has $3.5 million allocated to the contract ambulance service. We started out as a pilot. You all know how much we love doing pilots to dip our toe in a program and see if it works, and then when it has positive feedback, go after it. Contract ambulance service is one that we're going to be expanding significantly. A really important part of the contract ambulance service is they're able to take a lot of the crisis response calls. Talking with the fire chief last year, we had over 12,000 calls that were crisis response related. This particular contract ambulance service is going to help us address some of those, free up some of our firefighter team and our emergency service team for some of the other calls. So just a really important program for us to be adding. And then I have to talk about our Homeless Resource Center. It's such an important part of our programs for dealing with the unhoused, the homeless, and providing them with service to help stabilize them, to get them back into our community. And but it comes with a cost. This year we have a new vendor. We also added behavioral health support. Again, that same message where we have a focus on the contract ambulance service for crisis response calls. Well, at our courtyard, we wanted to add some additional services that cover behavioral health. And so, all told, that contract grew to $7.1 million a year. That's an additional $3 million. So this budget is covering that cost for a really, really important program. We talk about diversifying the economy. Certainly an incredibly important part because we are a community that's so dependent on leisure and hospitality. So what you'll see in this budget is that our redevelopment agency has the capacity to support the addition of a biotech innovation center and lab space in partnership with the growth of the UNLV Medical School. I know Councilman Knudsen, we've talked a lot about the importance of this project, but what's more important is this particular program is an untapped opportunity for diversifying our economy. There's huge demand for biotech research. We don't have a lot of opportunities here in Southern Nevada, so with this partnership with UNLV and the RDA, that's a program we're going to deliver. We talk about higher education. Nothing, I think, is more important than having our residents the opportunity to have higher ed, but it takes partnerships. And we've had a great partnership with CSN. Dr. Saragosa will be finishing his term there. But what you see here in this particular bullet is the importance of the CSN Northwest Campus. I know I've had conversations with Councilwoman Polensky, Councilwoman Bruni about how important that is to Ward 4 and 6 and really our whole city. This last legislative session, they were able to get a little over $4 million to the initial land planning and design. This budget includes some additional dollars that can be used towards the master plan of that campus. They have a lot of infrastructure that they're going to have to do for that land up there off of Durango and Elkhorn. So an important part is that CSN Northwest Campus. But just as important is a really cool project where I know we're working with Councilman Creer on a groundbreak soon for the West Side CSN Training Center. That's coming. That's a $14 million project we just awarded. And with that, we also have an RDA grant that we've just been informed on for an East Las Vegas workforce training center. So higher ed, training our residents, really important part of this budget and part of our community. And I have to mention the importance of broadband. So as it relates to workforce development and diversifying the economy, what you will hear from everyone is your city has to have high-speed internet. You have to have broadband. Otherwise, you're not going to attract some of these folks that can work anywhere. The remote worker can go anywhere. They'd love to come to Southern Nevada, but we haven't had the greatest broadband access. So I'm happy to announce we're really close with a new partnership with Google, as well as some other providers who really want to invest in broadband. What this budget does is it includes the funding that can accommodate the additional plan checking and inspection services that will come with a widespread deployment of additional broadband efforts. And then just a few other highlights that I wanted to make is, and we're going to go in a little more detail with some upcoming slides, this budget has about 29 new positions. It also is converting 26 federally ARPA-funded positions back to the general fund following that conversation we've had in briefings. Across the street, the project is going every day you look at it, it looks like it's that next step to completion. You'll see in this budget we have a specific slide where we're providing the staffing and equipment support so that Civic Plaza, when it opens next spring, will be a great amenity for our community. And then we've talked throughout the year about how contractual contracts in every department just keeps going up because of the cost for power, the cost for labor. A lot of part of this budget is contractual and inflationary increases that we really have no choice. We have contracts that we need to do services, and there's a cost increase. So we're capturing that. And then last but not least, we've had a lot of conversation about the importance of our team having good equipment. And what I had heard was that our animal control officers were sharing vehicles. They work one shift, the next shift comes in, they take the vehicle, a lot of miles on some of our vehicles. And so I was asked a little bit for a little more detail on this. We have 20 budgeted animal control officers, 17 officers, 3 supervisors. 15 are currently filled today, but the feedback I got from our team was there's vehicles that are in the shop. And so this budget includes 3 additional vehicles so that animal control officers are going to have the vehicles they need to do the work that they need to do. And there's a variety of other vehicles in support of other departments in our overall fleet. So those are kind of 2 overarching kind of snapshots. And the next few slides, I'm going to pass the mic on to Susan.
Thank you, Mike. So, good morning, Susan Heltzley, Director of Finance for the record. Before I get into my slides, I have to take a moment to thank my fabulous staff. We started this budget back in October, and so a shout out to Gail and Quinn and Theresa's teams. I also want to acknowledge all the directors, department directors, and all of their staff. They turned in over 400 requests. And a big shout out to the CMO team for, we all went through those requests and determined which ones meet the priorities and how we were able to maintain our city services that we need while keeping our budget very conservative and making it status quo and submitting a balanced budget. So thanks to everyone who worked on this. You too, Steve.
Well, thank you.
So getting into I get to start off talking about how we're ending the year in fiscal year 24. We're only focusing on the general fund on these next few slides. So our current estimate of revenues are greater than budget by about $23.1 million, and I'll let you guys know the categories underneath don't add up to 23.1 million, so we have a few other little categories that kind of add into this number. But our C-Tax, which is our greatest revenue source, we're estimating right now that we're going to be $5 million greater than budget. We had our C-Tax briefing yesterday. We may see this number change a little bit because we are doing better than what we were expecting. So that's really great news. Our franchise fees, we're expecting those to come in at about 13.1 greater than budget. Majority of that is being driven by higher electricity and natural gas costs. The inflation that's hitting those also helps our franchise fees. They pay 5% of any gross revenues. So while we're all kind of getting hurt at home, it does help the city out on our franchise fees. We've also transferred an additional $3.6 million from our ARPA Special Revenue Fund this year over to the general fund, and those are for projects that we had originally in the Special Revenue Fund. Some of the organizations had contacted us and said, hey, because it's a capital project or we've got some requirements that are really difficult for us to meet, it would be a lot easier if we could convert it. So we brought it into revenue replacement. We're still continuing to work with those partners, but it will be a general fund expense from going forward. And when we look at our expenditures, those are exceeding our budget by $62.3 million. Now, before we get excited, there's a lot of reasons for this. So part of it is in our service and supplies budget, that's where all of those the ARPA projects that we fund at the general fund, we're assuming that all of those will be spent this year. So that makes up about $20 million of it, well, 18.6. So if we took out those particular ARPA projects, we would actually be underrunning our budget by $5.1 million. We also are underrunning salaries and benefits by about $12 million. We currently have close to 300 open positions here in the city, so it's about an 8% vacancy rate. We factor a 3%. Some of our positions were just either, they're more challenging, I guess I would put it, to fill, and sometimes we don't have the capability sometimes to fill that staff. If you've got people who can't train them, it doesn't make a lot of sense to bring them on. So the last part of it, this is the part that Steve really likes. We are transferring $55 million over to CIP. Part of that is for existing and new projects, and part of it is to purchase the Animal Foundation building for $15 million, which I'm very excited that we were able to get that deal together earlier this year. So how we do this, we always talk about how we budget conservatively. So we always want to make sure we have excess beginning fund balance. So let's just pretend we say we're going to have $200 million when we tell the city, or when we tell the state, we'll have $200 million in fund balance. Well, if we come in at $230 million in fund balance, we have $30 million we can allocate to projects. So that's one of the reasons why we like to budget very conservatively. And another reason is we have excess revenue in FY24. So we have some money that we budgeted for. I think our budget came in at I'm making up numbers now, $420 million. If it comes in at 430, we have an additional $10 million that we can allocate either to projects or additional expenses. And a lot of those additional expenses are coming in the form of those ARPA projects. So that wraps up our FY24 expenditure summary. Moving into FY25, we're looking at general fund revenue again. So again, just general fund. We are estimating that our revenue will be 2.2% over our projections. C-Tax you'll see on a slide in the next couple pages, C-Tax was on a tear over the last 5 or 6 years. It grew over $100 million, and it's not sustainable. So even though we're well over $400 million now, you think, oh, 1.6%, it's not that big. It's still about $12 million. So it's a decent size. It's just a small percent. We're looking at a property tax increase of 5.25%. Our assessed value increased by 10, but remember we have the property caps, we have abatements, so we're capped for residential at a 3% increase and a non-residential at 8%. So our abatement this current year, I need to update this slide, it's higher than this. It was $64 million, we had to take something else into account, I think it's closer to $70 million now. So we do have a large abatement on our property tax side.
Excuse me, the property tax increase at 5.25, what is that based on?
That is on
sales in the west, northwest?
It's on assessed value. So assessed value does go up, or if we have new construction, so we will have a higher assessed value going into FY25, so we do get a portion of property taxes that we can increase it on.
But it's not considering the growth going west in the Summerlin property or northwest in Ward 6 and new sales, new development out there?
It will once those hit the property tax rolls.
Okay.
So until those are full, it usually takes about a year for it to hit the property tax roll, Mayor.
Okay.
So once they're on the rolls, we'll start seeing those increases. So it's hard to say how much it'll go up over the years. We forecast very conservatively. I believe we forecast our property tax going up about 4% a year, as you'll see when we get into our forecast slide.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Our license and franchise fees, we're estimating an increase of those at about 2.6%. Our fines and charges for services and our other revenues, that's about that 3% increase, almost 4%. That includes an $8 million Medicaid reimbursement. We get that on our fire transports. And by bringing in that the CAS that Mike was talking about, we can actually bill Medicaid for those, so it'll help our revenue stream. So we added $3.4 million in expense. We also added $3.4 million in revenue, so that one is revenue neutral, which is really nice. We love to have that. And then we also have a contribution from the RDA of $3.1 million coming into our general fund for next year. And this next pie chart just shows how our revenues are dispersed. You can see our consolidated tax makes up about 55% of our revenue. Property tax is about 20%, licenses and franchise 15%, and our other is 10%. Other includes interest, if we get contributions from things, kind of some fines, whatnot. So I was mentioning our consolidated tax history. So this slide shows back in FY 2009 all the way to FY 25, So what, 16 years? Mm-hmm. A while. And you can see back in FY 09, it was only $220 million. And then we were coming out, it fell into recession in FY 10, and we've been crawling out of the recession. We were doing really, really great in FY 19. And FY 20 would have been a record year if it hadn't been for this little thing called COVID, which shut down the city. So, and we went from $323 million down to $311 million. And in FY21, we were all kind of wondering what is going to happen with C-Tax. It was propped up a lot by the federal money that we got, so it helped. People were still spending, but it went crazy in FY22. And it went up $80 million, and a lot of it had to do with some of that federal stimulus that was going on. We had low interest rates, our inflation was low, we had people that weren't they were working from home, a lot of online shopping. So a lot of folks really helped us out with that C-Tax, and then it continued to grow in 23 through 24. So it's gone up $30 million since FY22. It's a big number. It's just when you're looking at a $400 million budget, it's hard to move the needle percentage-wise. So we're looking at a C-Tax growth of about 2 to 3%, according to the state. So we'll see what happens. And here's our property tax history. This is another slide that it kind of makes me very sad as a finance person, because back in 2009, we were collecting $134 million, and then the recession hit, and you can see where the abatement went away. The abatement's the green part. So back in 2009, our abatement was $48 million, and it fell to almost zero in FY13. So we only brought in $88 million in property tax. That's because the values on the housing just plummeted. Property tax is actually our most consistent and stable form of revenue. We collect well over 99% of it. People do pay their property tax. So if we say we're budgeting for it, we do collect it, which is a great thing. But when you look at FY13, back at 88.8, FY14 was 88.2, it took until FY22, almost FY23 to fully recover from 2009. And so now we're on an upswing. This year we're looking at $159 million, and our abatement will be about $71 million. So like I said, I had to update that slide. The abatement's gotten a little bit higher. So our property tax is looking good. We'll see what it looks like for next year when we get there. Our expenditure highlights. Mike's already talked about a lot of these. I get to talk about some of them in a little bit more detail. One of the things that we do here at the city is we fund Metro, and we share that cost with the county, and they are requesting an increase of 8.7% this year. That equates to about $10 million. I think their budget would be up well over $180 million. They are currently at a little bit over 2 police officers per 1,000, so they're meeting what they would like to do. This particular budget adds 46 additional civilian positions. They have 22 additional commission positions. They also have 100 more commission positions that they use their More Cops and the Crime Prevention Act funds to pay for. So that comes out of a different revenue source that we're not required to pay, which is really nice. Remaining increase, it's kind of the same story that we're having here. It's COLAs, it's inflation, it's workers' comp claims, it's higher medical costs. So all of their costs, they're pretty much keeping a status quo budget also. Also in our budget, we have our Animal Foundation contract increase, which went up about $1 million, and so that will be included. The Civic Plaza staffing, supplies, programming, and utility costs. We expect the Civic Plaza to open early next spring, fully open. We have put in for 6 months of staffing and equipment and whatnot, and as like Steve and I have been talking about, it's kind of a bare bones to get it opened, then we'll see what we need and we'll go from there. We'll have to continue that funding on into FY26 for a full year, but we'll have the basic funding to make sure it can open, and it's got its utilities, and it's got its supplies, and it has everything it needs. We're also moving, I need to remember this, but this is a very important bullet. Increased operating costs for the Homeless Resource Center. As Mike mentioned, we have a brand new contractor. They are offering that behavioral health piece. I think it went up $2 million. Yeah. It went up quite a bit over the last contract, but just from conversations with neighborhood services, they're already seeing the benefits to that contract and that new provider. It seems like they're providing more services at the homeless courtyard, which are so well needed.
And if I could just back up, the furniture, fixtures, and everything else for the Civic Plaza is in the capital program? Where is that?
It is. It's in the CIP. So
and is that fully done for both buildings by sometime in 25?
So,
or are we piecemealing that out?
No, Mayor, Steve Ford, Deputy City Manager for the record. So the FF&E budget for the main building was actually budgeted last year, in last year's CIP. This year, we are just funding the tenant improvements for the building 2 and some other items. So all the FF&E for the main building was already budgeted.
Okay, but this, for the second building, it's this budget.
For the second building, there's no FF&E budgeted because we are hoping to lease it out, and now the tenant would be responsible for that.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. You have great questions, Mayor. So the next bullet, we talk about those 24 full-time and 2 hourly positions that are funded under the ARPA position restoration. We had to transfer those back to the general fund as of December 31st, 2024, because we could only use the money until then. So there'll be 6 months of those particular positions in the general fund for this year, and then ongoing, it'll be the full year. Those positions were positions that were frozen during COVID, and we were able to bring them back earlier than we thought we could using some of those ARPA dollars. So that worked out really well for us. And then finally, it responds to those inflationary cost increases on utilities and services and supplies. Out of those 400 increases, I'd say at least probably 15% of them were like, hey, we just need more money to keep the lights on. So we were able to fund all of those requests from the departments, and it turned out to be several million dollars just to add those requests to the general fund for this year. And we also have our collective bargaining agreements. So our PPA and POA, those are valid through 6/30/2025. We're in talks right now with the firefighters and the CEA. That goes through 6/30/24. Optimistic that we're probably not going to have a contract by the time this fiscal year ends, but we are optimistic that we're making progress. So that's a good sign. POSA is valid through 6/30/2026. And then over at Metro, this is their supervisors. Their supervisor, PMSA, it's their supervisor folks. They're in arbitration right now. And so we are waiting to hear from the arbitrator on what that particular settlement, if any, will be. And that is not in our budget right now. So that's something that we would have to work with Metro to find out how much that is and what our piece is going to be going forward. So we don't know when we'll get that particular arbitration finalized. So I am going to turn it back to Mike. He is going to talk about all of our positions.
Thank you, Susan. For the record, Mike Jensen, City Manager. I just wanted to walk you through a little bit of background on how some of these positions came to be that you see in this budget. So as you'll see here, what we're recommending is a little under 29 positions, 28.67, and then the breakdown of how they're being funded, 19 from the general fund and just under 10 from other funds. And then as a category, 16.67 are non-public safety and 12 are public safety related. And getting into the details a little bit, the first one you see here is a payroll analyst, and Susan and I had a number of conversations where for about the past 20 years, the finance department has relied on 2 payroll analysts, and our payroll has gotten more complex over the years. There's a lot of different funding sources. There's a lot of different time card reconciliations that are needed. We have, again, close to 4,000 employees when you add up part-time, hourly, and temps. And so looking at the workload for that particular unit, this is a position that we feel it's time to add this additional resource so that we make sure we get paid on time. I'm sure everyone wants to make sure that our check is where it needs to be. I mentioned earlier the importance of the fire training officers. Again, this is going back a couple of years in terms of a strategy to have more consistent training, and so that's the position we talked about earlier. This next one's kind of a unique one. Just to give you a little background on this. So we have well over 15,000 hydrants in the city of Las Vegas limits. They are hydrants that are connected to a water district feeder line, and they are hydrants that do not have meters. There's no meter on hydrants, and what's happened over the years is people will get a specific type of wrench and they will open up those hydrants, and for lack of a better term, they will steal water. And with the focus that is on all things water, we had an opportunity for a partnership with the Water Authority here where they are going to be willing to fund these new locking mechanisms that will ensure that those hydrants are less likely to be, shall we say, water taken away from them, water wasted. But in addition, this fire training, this hydrant tech is going to make sure that those hydrants are in good working order. The last thing we want to have happen is when our firefighters report to a fire and they come up to a hydrant, they get prepped to connect to it, and it's not working. There's a problem with that hydrant. So really, this is a great opportunity for us to leverage a partnership with the Water Authority to upgrade the reliability of the hydrants, reduce water waste, and essentially just give our firefighters a device that they can be more reliant on. We have one hydrant technician today that does essentially a lot of the work associated with 15,000 hydrants. So again, this is another one of those positions that the timing is really right, and having good conversations with the chief, this is going to mean a lot.
Whose cost is that connectivity? Is that absorbed? Do we have to share in that cost? Who does the implementation of the technology on the hydrants? Where is that?
Yes.
Is that this?
Yeah, so Mayor, what that is we're going to be bringing to you an interlocal agreement between the city and the Water Authority where they're going to agree to buy a type of lock that can be attached to the hydrants by this hydrant technician, and in return, they will pay for the device. So we're doing hydrant upgrades, if you will. It's almost like a small capital upgrade, but it's being funded by the Water Authority. And our hydrant technicians, we have 2 of them with this additional position, will be the ones that will be prioritizing the hydrants that need the work the most. Our fire team has a great understanding of where hydrants in the city are most prone to being vandalized, or some of the ones that are oldest. And so we have a pretty good feel for where that first focus will be to do those hydrant upgrades. So again, Mayor, our cost in this is simply the labor from our hydrant technician to attach this device to the hydrants.
And then will this be connected technologically so somebody can look at a screen and see that out in Ward 2, way west, that particular hydrant is not functioning?
Well, Mayor, I'll give you an example. One of the things the Water Authority recently did is they entered into an agreement with us to use our street lights, the top of our street lights. And
not
they added,
copper.
Yeah, no. They added sensors. They added sensors that allow them to get from everyone's water meter what your meter is doing. If it's running, how much water you're using remotely. If you remember back in the day, you had a meter reader that had to open up your box. They're able to get all that data now real time. And they haven't yet expanded that program to trying to capture the real-time usage of water at a hydrant. As I mentioned, hydrants are currently unmetered. And so that's a conversation that we'll have as a follow-up with the Water Authority to see, is there an opportunity to further beef up the control of all things associated with hydrants. The next item is some fire cadets. Fire cadets is just one pathway into our fire academy, and it's a program that our team has advised has been very, very well for paying off, for bringing up that next crop of great firefighters. And so we've added budget for adding 2 cadets. Many of our bigger departments over the years have added what's called a budget analyst. And Neighborhood Services Department has grown in size, and they also have very complex funding. They have a lot of grants. You see them all come to council where our Neighborhood Services team has secured a grant, and that grant comes with a lot of other budget-related strings, and so we felt it was time to add a budget analyst to Neighborhood Services, and working with Arcelia and her team, this was a position that really is going to pay dividends, we believe, for just better management of the complexity of the dollars that Neighborhood Services secures. We've added hundreds and hundreds of trees throughout the city over the last few years in our parks, in our trails, throughout our street network, and we have a limited number of irrigation system repairers, and so talking to the Parks and Rec team, this was a position that's really needed so that investment will not go to waste. So these will be irrigation system repairers assigned primarily to managing our tree canopy, tree network. And then the next one for parks is a graffiti technician. We've got about 87 parks, Steve? 83. 83 parks, but many more in the works, as you guys know, on our design side. But what we heard from our community members, what we heard from some of our surveys, is that there's more graffiti in some of our parks than we want to see. And so we looked at our resources for graffiti abatement, graffiti technicians, and this budget is adding another graffiti tech so that when that does happen, we have an ability to take care of it quicker. And that really, at the end of the day, is just trying to make our parks that much more enjoyable to our citizens without having to see that graffiti stick around longer than we want. I mentioned earlier the additional marshals, so there's 4 you see on this slide, 2 for the pop team, 2 for the graveyard team. There's a 5th one that's going to be added, you'll see on the next slide, that'll be assigned to the Civic Plaza Building 1. I'll explain that a little bit when we get to the next slide. Then we have a need for 2 additional corrections officers at our jail facility. And then last but not least, I want to highlight a position we're adding to the Youth Development and Social Initiatives team, Tammy's team. This year alone, they had close to 8,000 participants in the Safe Key program before and after school. And there's a need for helping some of those participants with behavioral assistance. So we identified the need for a behavioral specialist that'll help treat some of the instructors that work on all things related to the Safe Key program. And so that's a snapshot of the general fund positions. And this next one is a slide specific to Civic Plaza because it is such a significant investment for the city. So what you'll see here, working closely with Maggie and her team, we're going to have a full-time facility and event coordinator. As you all know from the briefings, we're going to try to have that Civic Plaza programmed year-round, all the time. In order to do that, you have to have a facility and event coordinator. When you have a lot of facilities, you have a lot of production related to lighting and sound and things of that nature. So there'll be a dedicated production technician to that facility. And then we're adding essentially a couple acres of very, very nice landscaping and outdoor facilities. So that comes with a need for maintenance. So 2 additional maintenance workers. And then, as I mentioned, Building 1 is where all of our other city employees will be located. It's where our potential candidates for new jobs will come in. That'll be the new HR entry point. And so like we have in City Hall, where there's a marshal at the front desk, there will be a marshal stationed during business hours in Civic Plaza Building 1. And with that, the last piece here is a little bit of oversight on non-general fund positions. So we focused on the general fund positions. This slide is those other sources of funds that we use to fund some of our positions. And the first chunk you see is our enterprise funds. That's our parking enterprise fund. And so you all know, I know Councilman Diaz, we've talked about this a lot. We've added dozens of parking lots in the Arts District to meet the growing demand. But with a new parking lot comes a need to do some management associated with it. And so with the growth of our parking inventory, this was the year where we needed to add an administrative support assistant to help manage all of the new parking components that we've added. Additionally, a parking services technician to ensure that the equipment that folks use when they're using some of those parking areas is going to be working, is in good order. Just a host of things that comes with additional parking facilities. Then you'll also see here from our sanitation fund, that's our sewer fund. One of the areas across the country that have been identified that should get the most focus for cybersecurity is sewer plants across the country. And so this position you see here, the network admin specialist, will be full-time at our sewer plant, doing all things associated with hardening the equipment at our sewer plant. And working with our IT team, that's a position that the time was now, based on all the things you all have been hearing about. We need to beef up that support. And then our citizen survey that came out, some of the focus you heard was they'd like to see the maintenance on our streets be done at a higher level. So you'll see here there's 2 additional maintenance workers that would be funded for that street cleaning. Why is it coming out of sanitation? If you recall, all of the stuff on the street, if we don't pick it up, it goes into the storm drain and then makes its way to the lake. And so it's really important from that level of maintenance that we have those additional workers to address some of that feedback from our citizens. And then we have our internal service funds. And so we have liability insurance and property damage claims that come in. They've been kind of managed by some of our existing staff, but working closely with Vince and his team. This was the year where we needed to add. This is a part-time position. That's why it's 0.67. We're going to see how that workload ebbs and flows as it relates to claims. But so we're adding a position, an HR technician, to support that. Some additional cybersecurity focused positions for the IT team, middleware developer, and a security analyst. And then another piece of information we heard from many of our departments is sometimes their vehicles are in for service, and it takes a little bit of time for that vehicle to get back on the street, and so their vehicles are down. We're adding some additional capacity with a fleet services worker to help with getting those vehicles ready as soon as possible. And then, last but not least here, you know, we have over 3 million square feet of buildings that the city owns and operates. And those buildings, some of them are getting older, and there's a need to do constant preventative maintenance. You know the old story, if you do preventative maintenance, you avoid that big bill. This position being added to PW's facilities field supervisor is going to focus largely on preventative maintenance at our facilities all over the city. I think this chart really tells a picture when you just see what our full-time staffing has looked like over the years. And you'll see there, you know, we were at 3,351 full-time equivalent back in 2017. We're a little over 500 positions more here with the 2025 budget. Then that bottom line, it really shows you kind of some trends. And you'll see there was a year in 2020 where we actually cut a number of vacant positions by 5. You had no positions added in 2022 because we were still trying to appreciate the impact of the COVID pandemic. But then, as Susan mentioned earlier, we were seeing this huge surge in some of our revenue sources, particularly some of that federal funds. We were able to add some positions you'll see in 23 and 24. And then going back to our original narrative today, you're seeing a relatively status quo budget. 29 positions is not a lot, but as you just heard, those are all positions that we feel that we have a good justification for adding them, and that's why you see that 29 position. With that, I'm going to hand the next chunk over to Susan.
Yep. And could you say something about the silver tsunami with so many senior long-term 20-plus years employees that have gone to retirement, how that affected the budget, if of any significance?
Mayor, I'll tell you, we're living it. Steve and I just started our 28th year at the city, and we're now in that group of folks that we've been talking about for all these years about the silver tsunami and all these folks retiring, and we've lost a tremendous number of our longtime leaders through retirement, and there's another wave coming. But what I'll tell you is that our succession planning that's been going on for many, many years has always been to try to identify, how do we identify that next leader? And that next leader is the person who's really going out recruiting. He's the person going out, he or she's the person going out telling folks why the city is a great place to work. And that's what's helping us get through that silver tsunami. And so hopefully that addresses your question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Again, Susan Helsley, Finance Director, for the record. So now we've talked about everything that's in the budget and what we've added to the budget. So let's take a look at what the numbers are. So for the general fund this year, we're looking at a total of $803.5 million in our budget. Last year, our budget was about $746, so it's a little higher than last year, but not astronomically higher. If we look, salaries and benefits, 48.8% of our total are what we pay for our employees. As we saw on the previous slide, we have 3,800 of them, so quite a big chunk goes there. Our non-labor, that's 21.9%, so that's all of our professional service contracts, our travel, our training, anything that is not directly related to salaries and benefits. We also pay 23% to the Metro. There's their $184.2 million budget this year. Our debt service, we have several $100 million in debt. We only pay $21.8 million in debt service, so that's a fairly low part of our budget, only 2.7%. And then other is 3.7%, that's $29 million. Those are transfers to other funds. For example, we send money to the CIP. We'll be sending additional money to our fiscal stabilization account. We try to keep a 10% fund balance in that account, so that is transferred from the general fund each year. So that's what makes up our general fund. This next slide shows it to you in a different way. We talk about our number one priority is public safety. You can see that we spend 63.5% of our budget on public safety, so almost $510 million. The rest of it is split between, I love other, again, those are those transfers to those other departments, or other funds, 71.2 million, judicial's 4.4%, general government is 10.6%. Again, debt service, 2.7%, culture and rec is 8.5%, and public works is 1.4%. It's kind of an anomaly. A lot of our public works folks actually live in the public safety realm because they're out cleaning the streets and doing all of our traffic folks, they're in public safety. And then some of our public works people are actually paid for by federal grants and other funding sources. So the general fund in public works is not that big of a slice. And here's probably the slide you've been looking for. And Councilwoman Creer, this one, we were talked yesterday in briefings. This shows our 23, 24, and 25 budgets and actuals. So in FY23, that was what the fiscal year we just closed and we had the audit on this past couple months ago. Our revenues were $813.7 million. You can see consolidated tax came in at $428.3 million. And so revenues 813, our expenditures were 760. We had an excess of $52.3 million. And I was mentioned earlier, we were able to do things with that excess the following fiscal year. So we can allocate some of that into the next fiscal year in FY24 for our one-time projects. And you'll see in FY24, we've moved $55 million into those one-time capital projects. $15 million of that, again, is TAF to pay for the building. Going into our estimate for FY24, we budgeted consolidated tax at $430 million. We were very conservative last year, even though we knew we had two big events coming in. We had F1 and Super Bowl. After meeting with our Economic Advisory Committee and talking it over with Quinn, we were like, you know what? We don't want to assume we're going to have a huge bump in consolidated tax. So we kept it relatively almost flat to last year. We were only up, I think, it was almost flat. So at $435 million, we're budgeting that will be $5 million over our current budget. We'll see where we come in at the end of the fiscal year. We're assuming 786.3. You'll notice that our revenue is down from last year. We had a lot of money that was transferred in from the ARPA Special Revenue Fund last year. So we brought the money in from ARPA. Whenever we do that, we have to call it a transfer in from another fund, so it affects our revenue. Haven't seen that much come over as of yet in FY24. We've had some things go to council since we put this budget together. You'll see those in the next round when we present the final budget. So those will be there. Our expenditures for this year are $816.7 million. So you'll see we're actually we're filing a decrement budget. We are eating into our fund balance, and that is by design. We are assuming we are spending all of that ARPA money that we brought in last year. We thought we'd spend it last year in FY23. It didn't get spent, so we're allocating it and making sure we have funding authority for it this year. So that's a lot of that non-labor cost, that $166.9 million. Almost, I think there's $18.5 million that's assuming we will spend on ARPA projects. So that explains that shortfall that we have of $30 million. But if you look, last year we had a 32% unrestricted fund balance. Per policy, it's 25. So this year we're at 26.1. Going into next year, again, our revenues are $803 million. Our consolidated tax is very conservative. Right now, we're currently under what the state is estimating for next year. I think they're estimating close to 450. We'll be in discussions with the CMO team and of course the council to determine, do we need to bring that number up before final. And then we are filing a zero-based budget, or a zero budget, not zero-based. So you'll see 803.5 in expenditures. So we're not having an excess or a shortfall. It's an actual zero budget. And again, we'll have a 26.6% reserve. So we're a little bit above our reserve targets, which is not a bad thing. Not a bad place to be. And this is a fun slide. This just shows our general fund revenue and expenditure trending. So you can see we've been pretty consistent, living within our means. FY20 was a bit of an anomaly, of course, because we had the pandemic, which took our revenues were higher than our expenses because we thought we were going to have to make some massive cuts. So we had revenue higher than expenses just to make sure. And FY21, it was relatively flat. You can see in FY24, we are starting to eat into our fund balance because we had a lot of that federal money that came in. So the big surge of federal money actually in 20, we had the CARES Act come in. So we brought in the CARES money, we brought it in as revenue replacement. We didn't spend that money that quickly. We spent it the following fiscal year. So you can just see the trend where we've been going. We do a really good job of living within our means, unless it's very conscious when we choose to eat into our fund balance, and it's usually to spend that federal money. And this next one is always the scary one that Mike and I like to look at because it's like, oh, this is fun. So in FY24, there's our $30.4 million deficit that we're having. And again, it's because we're spending all of our ARPA money, and some of we're spending last year's fund balance, so we're good. There's the zero that we're forecasting for this year. In FY26, it looks like we're going to have about an $8 million surplus, and then it starts to fall into the red in those outgoing years. And you have to remember, when we budget our 10-year forecast, we're looking at our revenues are very, very conservative. We're thinking like a 3% overall increase, while some of our expenses are going up anywhere between 4 and 5%. So eventually, it will start turning red. However, we do a really good job of managing our expenses. So if we start seeing something like this, we will reinstitute our PJC, which is our position control. We have a lot of open positions. We have ways we can navigate these potential shortfalls. I think because we budget so conservatively, we have a really good opportunity for consolidated tax and what to come in higher. But we don't want to assume that, because we never want to spend more than we're bringing in and we don't want to put the city into a bad situation. So we do keep a really close eye on this. And I went back and looked at the last few budgets that I've been involved with. All the slides have looked like this, and we've turned out better. So, of course, you have to say, what is it they say in the past performance doesn't guarantee future performance, but it is a good trend to have. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve.
Thank you.
To talk about our capital improvement plan.
Good morning again, Steve Ford, Deputy City Manager for the record. This slide is simply a reminder of, pardon me?
Do you want to switch prices?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. This slide is simply a reminder of the revenue streams that we get in that funds our capital programs. Some of these revenue streams have specific uses that they're restricted to. You see there, like the 5% or the 5-cent ad valorem can only be used on facilities. The LVCVA money can only be used on parks. Some of those things that we work on, and some of the constraints that we work within. The reallocation of existing project funding, so that is projects that have closed on the previous year, and if there's a fund balance left over in that project, we move it over to this year. And then again, the residential construction tax, that's everybody's favorite to discuss, and some of you, I know we've already have meetings on your calendar to discuss where you're at with your particular RCT fund and the capital money that was given to you in previous years. So real quickly, as Mike said earlier, we've got a few major projects that we want to finish up. So we concentrated this year on one, getting projects that were already underway and making sure we had money to finish those, and then projects that were just started or ended design last year, and get those going and get those on the books so we can get those bid. For example, Cragen Park, Mayor Pro Tem knows very well, we've been working on that for a while, and we're allocating that shortfall now that we're getting close to going out to bid. Angel Park improvements for Councilwoman Seaman. The big one of the charter school expansion down on 9th Bridge in Ward 3. The Bunker Regional Pickleball Complex, that was a SNPLMA project that we had the federal funds for, and we had to do some different design scope changes to allow for some of the issues that we were having with the sound and some other things. Here's park improvement in Ward 5, and then the Centennial Community Center pool improvements is a big one. That building is coming up on 20 years old now. All of the pool equipment is reaching the end of its life, so it's going to be a major project to replace all of that equipment for both the inside and the outside pools.
Excuse me, are these all scheduled to be completed when?
They're all scheduled to at least go out to bid this year. That's why we're giving them money. They won't be. They may not be completed in FY25, but they will be going out to bid. So we had to make sure the funding was in place to put them out to bid.
Well, and in particular, Centennial Hills Pool, is that in a condition that it will be usable until it's, and then do you shut it down to totally demolish and rebuild, or what?
No, that's a good question, Madam Mayor. We are band-aiding it so it will be usable until we can replace the equipment.
And so that location where it is You can't be doing a new one in a near location, so when one closes, the other could open?
Well, we're not actually closing the pools, or we're not reconstructing it. So to your point, we will be phasing it. So we'll do the one pool on the inside and the other pool on the outside.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Again, as Mike mentioned, we are really concentrating this year on a lot of the public safety projects. Susan mentioned the Taft Shelter building that we're getting, the new substation up in the Providence Sky Canyon area, which is a new model for Metro, that they don't have a substation that looks like this, but this will be, so this is a new model for them. The new multi-agency 911 facility up in the Northwest, that is our portion of the funding between us, Metro, I can't even remember who's all on that, North Las Vegas, there's a few.
Not Henderson.
Not Henderson, correct. We have the fire and EMS equipment replacements, the fire training center rehab that we'll be working on over off Bonanza. The Fire Station 103 three-bay replacement full design. So last year we funded the land acquisition there off of Alta and Upland, and this year we'll be funding the design for that station to be replaced, the one that is currently on Upland and Jones. And then we also, from some feedback we received from the firefighters and the fire captains, there's some ongoing issues on security for the parking around. Our new stations now have fencing all around them, but some of our older stations are not secured. So this will allow us to put some fencing around some of our more problematic stations where we have issues with vandalism of the firefighters' vehicles in the back parking lot. So in general, as a sum, we have a total allocation of $133 million for this year. That does not include projects that we receive funding for from outside agencies like our RTC and the Flood Control District. By category, you can see there the general facilities is 57, Parks and Recreation is 30, the public safety is 22, the discretionary carryover will have 5.8. That's the meetings that we are currently scheduled or have scheduled with you all to discuss. Road and Flood Technology and the Municipal Parking Fund, and we have a total of 19 new projects for this fiscal year. And with that, I can turn it back over to Mike.
Thanks, guys. Okay, moving on to the next area of our budget, the redevelopment agency. So as you all know, the redevelopment agency is an area of our city that is eligible for certain types of financial tools, certain types of financial programs that are only eligible if it falls within the confines of a federally and state defined redevelopment area. So our redevelopment agency is our team through our Economic and Urban Development Department that works under those capabilities. And so what you see on this slide is really some great news. What you see is how our assessed value, which is reflective of the value of the property within the RDA, has been increasing very, very well. And there's a few reasons behind that. Projects like the Circa, huge change in the assessed value of that property from what it was before. Projects like the English Hotel, projects like Oric at Symphony Park, and so many small business owners who have taken an older building and have invested in it and now have created thriving businesses all over numerous pockets of the RDA. And so that's what you're seeing there in the assessed value increase. And then on the same token, the tax increment revenue growth has also been growing at a steady pace. And what's important about these first two components is that's how we're able to fund programs inside the RDA that are so important to business owners and property owners. And so what you see here is just kind of a snapshot of the ways the redevelopment agency supports numerous city programs and initiatives. The first one is our medical district. And as I mentioned earlier, as part of the medical district, redevelopment agency funds are going to be used towards the development of a biotech center and innovation center to support the overall growth of the entire Las Vegas Medical District, but also the medical school. It's been a huge resource partner for the 100th Plan in Action, supporting projects like the new Share West Side project that was just recently opened. We're going to be leasing some space in there for workforce development. We know everything that the RDA has done in Symphony Park and some of the big projects that are coming. I know Councilman Crewer mentioned earlier today the Las Vegas Art Museum, but I have to mention the great Jackson Shaw project that we had a groundbreaking recently for a new 441-room Marriott hotel. And then we also have the Red Ridge Development Cello high-rise tower, not to mention other Southern Land projects. And so many great things happening in Symphony Park, and that's a key component of the RDA and the team seeing those projects become a reality. Many times, in fact, today on the RDA agenda, we had an item for a visual improvement program for the Bridger Inn just down the street. That's a program that's just really a partnership where the RDA and the property owner can split some costs to make the exterior of a building, an older building in the RDA, look a whole lot nicer. A program that we started with some ARPA funds that really became, I know many of you got calls about how this has been helpful. It's the Safety and Security Grant Program. So we have funds in this budget to continue that program. A new program that we're adding, and I know I spoke with Mayor Pro Tem about this one, about the importance of special events downtown. Special events, parades, Life is Beautiful, events like that, they are really what makes downtown unique and what, for many people, why we see development happening. And so as a key component, we don't want to lose these special events. And the biggest challenge that the special events are having is the cost for the public safety support. And so on any given big event, Life is Beautiful as an example, some of the larger parades, there's cost for having Metro support, there's sometimes cost for having firefighter support. And so what we wanted to do from hearing that feedback and not lose these events in our RDA or area for all the benefits they provide is to incorporate a program that we're calling a Downtown Special Event Public Safety Support Program. We're going to partner with those event throwers to help them with the overall cost for public safety components, because we don't want to lose them. They're too important to have downtown. Another area of the RDA that we get a lot of feedback on, and I know, Mayor, you and I were talking about this the other day, we have a lot of older power facilities downtown, so when a developer comes in and has to upgrade the power facilities, it can be very costly. Another area is when there's power lines that are in the way of doing a development. So taking all that feedback that we heard, we're going to add a program this year in the RDA called an RDA Area Power Line and Power Service Upgrade Program. This is something that I think folks that are trying to do projects downtown that may walk away because they see how costly power is, this may help us bring some of those projects to fruition that may not have otherwise happened. Cashman redevelopment is something that we've talked a lot about. We have some great things that are in the works. We'll be bringing some to you soon on the plans for Cashman redevelopment. That's really all been part of the RDA. And then, as was mentioned earlier, the RDA contributes $3.1 million a year to the city for a variety of maintenance services within the RDA area. And then we've got our innovation centers that have been really a hit with so many telecom companies. We have two of them, one 300 South 4th and one at the Herbert just down the street from City Hall. A snapshot of what the redevelopment agency looks like. So again, you're going to see the growth that's occurred, and the bottom line growth in terms of revenue in the RDA area has grown quite a bit over the last few years, and this is how we get things done. And so I mentioned earlier the programs that I just walked you through on the other slide. That's where you'll see their funding related to the redevelopment agency programs. Going on to the next slide, you'll see the tentative budget for all funds. And this is really kind of getting us to our wrap-up slide. I think what you want to see here is the bottom number there on the total. In 2023, we were at almost $7 billion for our tentative budget. And now, 2 years later in FY25, we're a little over $2 billion, $2.1 billion. That's for all funds associated with our budget. And that reflects a near 20 to 23% increase. And again, Councilman Crew, this goes to that discussion we had about just trying to really see how our city has grown. As our population has grown, as our businesses have grown, so has our budget. But as we've been saying all along, it's been growing in a way that we feel is conservatively appropriate so that we stay within our means. And then again, at the bottom there, you see really what makes us tick. it's our employees, and that's just a breakdown of our employees, regular full-time employees, some temp employees, a number of hourly employees that are so important to so many of our programs. And that's where we land. We land at 3,852 employees with a projected population for FY25. We think we're going to hit right around 675. So again, you'll see our steady growth on population. But really, that's the effort of our team, is to show you what everything looks like when you added it all up. This last slide from our team today is really to just remind that our focus on this budget is to respond to your council priorities of public safety, healthcare, and diversifying the economy. We have to focus on our team, so our entire organization, as well as fiscal health, to be a city that gets that AA rating, that people are willing to invest in and are not afraid of something going awry. Conservative budget, we've been telling you all along, and our next step is that we'll be filing a fully balanced general fund budget, as Susan showed in that prior slide. And with that, we have a few things that are coming in next steps. Today was a big one. A filing of the tentative budget will be next for April 15th. These are state requirements. A final budget here, and we'll be all back here again May 21st to present to you any changes that we have to make between now and the final. Susan alluded to there's a couple of ones that we have to address, and then we have to file that final budget by June 3rd. And then we have one more step, and that's the big 5-year CIP that has to be filed by August 1st. And so with that, I want to just really, again, reiterate what Susan said earlier. I want to thank all of our directors, all of our staff that helped us get to this point today. Thanks, Susan and Steve, for their focus on their budget components, and open it up to any questions you have.
I'm exhausted.
Ready to go.
I like that he's ready to go. This is awesome. Questions? All right, we'll go down for questions. Anybody? Give blood first.
Thank you, Mayor. And I think this is your first budget presentation, or budget as city manager, so nice job, and congratulations, Susan and Steve, and to the whole team that put it together. I know how much work goes into it. I had one request. Excuse me. In briefings, I had asked about a potential for a volunteer program. And so I know it's only been a couple of days, but if there's an opportunity to think through that and what that would mean for the budget, my guess is probably a position. But if there's value in continuing that conversation, that's just a request to think through. And it obviously is not that critical and may not be this year or next year, but I have requests all the time for ways to give back to Las Vegas and to volunteer for Las Vegas, and I think it's worth talking about. The second question is on the potential for additional BIDs or bids in the arts district or the medical district. Does that impact the RDA budget at all? And is there any conversation around working with the money that comes in bids and supporting those efforts?
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, just to give you kind of a snapshot on your question. So we had talked about the volunteer effort, and I think Chief Potts and I were talking about how a number of agencies have taken advantage of volunteers to help with a variety of security elements, or just having presence in some of our parks, such as our Civic Plaza across the street. And as you all know, Chief Potts has been developing the Citizens Academy, and those are some folks that have come out of that program and said, yeah, we're real interested in volunteering. And we know that that's just scratching at the surface. So I will commit to you that we'll look to see how we can bring that volunteerism to the next level. As it relates to the special improvement districts, as you all know, we have 2 SIDs that are being considered right now. And when I say SID, I don't mean the same SID like the ones that we have throughout Summerlin to fund infrastructure. There's another type of SID that's allowed under state law that really talks and walks like a business improvement district, a BID. In other cities, BIDs are common. So in Nevada, we use the SID as a tool to deliver something like a BID. The closest one that we have is the one that was here earlier today on Fremont East. But we're in discussions right now with the entire Strat team. They're very interested in having a BID via the SID created for the Strat area. We're also in discussions throughout the Arts District. Many business and property owners are also interested in looking at a BID for that area. And when I talk about a BID, it's 3 main things. It's usually additional levels of security, additional levels of cleaning, and then some level of marketing. Those are kind of the 3 tools that most BIDs across the country have taken advantage of. And so the last one was one that you and I talked about, looking at a BID for the medical district. And so we have some dollars in this year's capital that Steve sent out. There's a line item for Las Vegas Medical District Master Plan completion. And so there's some dollars in there that'll allow us to work through all the steps that would be necessary, the public outreach, sitting down with everyone to talk about what a BID could look like. And so, again, to answer your question, there's 3 BIDs right now, and we've added one in this year's budget to focus on the outreach to actually see if there's a desire to create one specifically for the medical district.
Thank you. And one last question, and I don't expect an answer. I'm just curious if we've thought about the NRS required 18% set aside in the RDA budget. Is that still meeting the needs of the city, or is that something on a government affairs side that we should be thinking about adjusting as the downtown continues to grow and evolve and change? And I don't have an answer, and I don't expect you to have an answer. I just think it's worth a conversation at some point.
Yep, great question, Councilman, and we'll have further discussions with Tammy and Arcelia, because right now a lot of the RDA set aside is being allocated to a number of programs that are managed by Neighborhood Services and Youth Development's team, and we'll look to see where we might have a gap, where that 18% may not be adequate, and look to see what changes we may need to tweak.
Thank you. Nice job.
Any other comments, questions here? Councilwoman Diaz?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say thank you for spending an incredible amount of time to hone down on what are the council priorities, but our priorities are basically built around the citizens and the residents of our city's priorities and what they've expressed to us via the surveys or the daily interactions that we receive in our offices. So I just want everyone to know that we really are trying to be a responsive government and putting our resources to heed the change that we're hearing, or staying up with the changes that are impacting our neighborhoods. You know, it's no small feat to look at these pie charts and $803 million and see that 55, nope, wrong chart, see? Just seeing the one where massively a lot of public safety dollars are earmarked already in our budget, it's just very telling. Let's see, 63.5% of our budget is public safety related, and I just want the residents to know that we are doing our due diligence and we're steering everything the best that we can, given the challenges of today, and we're a city that continually looks ahead into the future. And I also just wanted to take a moment when you were reviewing the RDA and how well that is going for us as a city. I would be remiss if we didn't pay homage to Ryan Smith's leadership in that department and being able to see positive trends. So I want to, one, honor him for his work that he did while he was here. I think he had a lot to do with the healthy ecosystem we're in, and also give credit to his department, EUD, right now, for getting through this very difficult moment for us as a city family to even think about not having his smiley face around the building. So with that, thank you for all your hard work. It doesn't go unnoticed, and we appreciate everything you're doing for us.
Well, the only thing, if there are no more comments, questions, yes, Councilwoman Bernie, yes? No.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the presentation, and I really do appreciate that you have a conservative budget, so thank you for that. I think it's important to know, this is more just like a public statement, but our budget, or our FTE has grown 20% since 2007, and our population has grown 20%. So I think, to Councilman Diaz's point, right, we are growing responsibly, and we're adding people in order to meet the needs of the growing population. So I love that we're in line. We're not some oversized bureaucracy. I think people watching should know that. So thank you for all the work. 2 questions. When you mentioned on the RDA budget, the Downtown Special Event Public Safety Support Program and the Power Line Program, is it like a $50,000 set aside, or $500,000, or can you just give me what the amount is that we're setting aside for those two things.
Yeah, Councilwoman, so to your point, as it relates to those two new programs, again, the dollars that the RDA generates can only be used in the RDA area. So we're looking at, we looked at last year's special events, the major ones. I got some information from Maggie's team on what all those events look like, and then also how much the public safety costs were. And what we're looking to do is kind of like a 50% match on the public safety component. And then as it relates to the power line upgrades, that one is a little bit trickier because we don't know just how many projects may be out there. We, in the past, had looked at programming about $1 million to try to do power line upgrades. So anticipating a lot of interest in trying to leverage this program, we're looking at a budget of $2 million a year, and we would create the program in a way where there could be a couple of larger projects that could be eligible for $500,000. There could be smaller ones for $250,000, and then all the way down to $25,000. So we want to try to create it in a way that it can react to the impacts of power line upgrade costs to all the types of projects that we see downtown. So this will be the first year for us to see what it looks like and how it works, but we're trying to craft it in a way that matches the level of construction activity that we see throughout the RDA.
Thank you. And then my last question is, and I believe I had this request last year for you, Susan, on the expenditures on the pie chart. Can you, I know it's going to be messy, but can you more closely align the expenditures to our priorities? I know we've got public safety, but it'd be great to figure out like how much are we spending of the total pie on our other two priorities, health and then diversification of the economy if possible.
We can certainly try.
Okay, one, yes, please, Councilwoman Polensky, and then I have one.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep it brief. Mr. Jansen, first time out of the box, did a great job. Thank you. And of course, the needs are great and the budget is limited, and you guys did a wonderful job of threading the needle and determining what was most needed, and then the secondary and third asks potentially for next year, next time, in a very graceful way, so that I appreciate. I know Gary's not here, but Gary holding our checkbook makes me sleep well at night, to be honest with you. And I'm very, very proud. I don't know if there's room in this budget. I'm very proud of our AA bond rating. Maybe we get some pins to say the city of Las Vegas has a AA bond rating, and it's a wonderful thing. And I know if Susan's given the opportunity at Gary's job, Gary just announced his retirement, I'm confident that she will steward the city in the same fiscally responsible manner. Just really proud of all of you, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Well, again, thank you all. I have one last question. What do we have in reserves?
Mayor, so a couple years ago, Councilwoman Polensky mentioned our CFO, Gary Ameling, worked hard to work with you to try to identify, based on our past history on some of the ups and downs of our local economy, should our policy for reserves be amended. I believe it was 15%, and through feedback from you all, our formal policy was established that we should have 25% in reserves. And so you'll see Susan had a slide here that showed, based on our zero budget, a balanced budget being submitted, we would be sitting right at 26.1%. So again, a really important part of our effort in terms of taking all the expanded budget requests and looking at all the needs was, how do we ensure that our budget meets the goals of council as it relates to reserves.
And so what are you considering that on this line?
That's the 26.6, Mayor, that you see there on the bottom. It says 213.5 million. That is our reserves, and so the policy that council established was 25%. So we're just a little bit above that. And again, the whole impetus for that policy change was that we are a community that could be very, very susceptible to a economic downturn because of our dependence on leisure and hospitality. And so when the times get a little tough, It's the reserves that helps us get through that, or helps us deal with any type of unanticipated impact. That could be a natural disaster or it could be other things. And so just really good government. And, I would tell you, I've been lucky over the last 7.5 years to work with Mr. Amling, and all of us have had enjoyment working with him, but he is fundamentally someone who believes so much in that reserves to get us through the tough days that could happen at any time. And so with that, again, that was our goal, was to meet your policy goal, which was 25%.
Well, I know from the business aspect, we've been following the expense high, income low projections, and that's what the city does. But I look at outstanding possibilities of issues that the city has to deal with, some maybe legal or other, and I just was making sure that that is the reserve number. So. Well, I can't thank you enough. I know we'll see you again for another Dog and Pony show. It's been fascinating. And for those of you who love numbers, they don't lie usually, not that you can't move them around a little bit. But thank you. This is really a tremendous effort, and we do thank your entire team, all of you, and Gary. To thank him, I know he's not here today. But to be sure to make sure that he knows how grateful we are. So at this point, then, I think I will ask you, Mayor Pro Tem, a motion on this first step.
Madam Mayor, with great appreciation to the team and the team sitting and watching, thank you for everything that you've done. And on behalf of the 3,852.67 employees that will be with us next year, I would move to approve item 31 and the tentative FY25 budget.
Thank you very much. There's a motion to approve this step 1 on agenda item 31. Thank you all. You'll sleep well tonight because you got through stage 1. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, I think I just had to ask Mayor Pro Tem, is it true that we are on to agenda item 38 to set? Yes, we are. Set any appeals filed or required public hearing dates from City Planning Commission meetings and dangerous building and nuisance litter abatements.
Will do. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, and then we're on to our second final citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of City Council. No subject be acted upon by the City Council unless the subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium, give your name for the record, the amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speakers allowed may be limited. Of course, it's your opportunity to address council, but council is not able to respond or engage in dialogue. So is there any? Nobody's here except us chickens.
They fell asleep.
I think this is a first.
We'll take it.
Okay, we'll take it. We will close the second public comment and move on to agenda item 40, and that is emerging issues. Discussion regarding potential items for future City Council agendas. You may make a suggestion, but no discussion or substance discussion on the item. Do we have any emerging issue? To my left, to my right, do we have emerging issues? No. So you're safe. And I did ask, though, I know that we would like to have a report at some point from Myron Martin, what's happening at the Smith Center. So that you're going to talk with him, yes, right? Thank you. All right, so now we are into City Council member recognition. So I know I started on the left, so this is going to be a first. I'm starting with Mayor Pro Tem. Whoa.
Thank you very, very much, Mayor. I have a lot going on this week. So first, Brews with Brian. It's tomorrow at Charlie's Down Under, located at Lake Mead in Buffalo, from 5 to 6 p.m. Please let us know if you're coming out, and look forward to seeing you. Also, with the help of Neighborhood Services, we're doing a neighborly event this Saturday, April 6th, from 10 to 12 at Essex Circle Park. Come join your neighbors to learn more about community resources and to encourage neighborhood community engagement. And also Walk for Friendship. It's coming up on April 7th, excuse me, Sunday, April 7th. Walk for Friendship is an annual walk that raises crucial funds and community awareness for the Friendship Circle. It's a nonprofit organization for individuals with special needs. Registration opens at 10 a.m. and the walk begins at 11:30. I've done this for several years now. It's super fun. And Rainbow Family Park Cleanup in partnership with Get Outdoors Nevada and Clark County Commissioner Justin Jones. Please help us defeat the trash site at Rainbow Family Park on Saturday, May 4th. May 4th is Star Wars Day, so if you want to wear costumes, I will not be wearing a costume, but you can. And Art in the Park is on Saturday, May 11th from 10 to 4 at Rainbow Family Park. Please come out. It's an art fair, community vendors, music, activities, and all the fun things. And this is Autism Acceptance Month. Autism Acceptance Month is observed in April. During this month, we raise awareness about autism acceptance and promote inclusion and connectedness for people with autism. It's time to celebrate differences and uplift autistic voices, sharing in the joy of the community. And by embracing acceptance, we strive to build a world where everyone, including each unique individual, is connected to the resources they need. And you can reach me any way you like. There you go. Thanks, Mayor.
Beautiful. All right, Councilman Creer.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Our next Ward 5 community conversations will take place on Wednesday, April the 10th, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at Grits Cafe, which is located at 1911 Stella Lake Street. Residents and businesses are invited to join us to discuss various matters, upcoming events, how the Ward 5 team can provide you support. For more information, please contact my office at 702-229-5443. Our city of Las Vegas will host an aquatics hiring fair in Ward 5 on Saturday, April 27th at the municipal pool located at 431 East Bonanza Road. Applicants 16 years and older are welcome to apply for summer positions at city pools, including lifeguards, water safety instructors, pool managers, and assistants. For more information, please contact 702-229-7529. Join the City of Las Vegas for the first Caribbean Heritage Festival on Saturday, May 18th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. You know there's going to be some good food from there. At Lorenzi Park at Sammy Davis Jr. Festival Plaza, attendees will have the opportunity to sample the traditions, music, and flavors of the Caribbean. Additionally, there will be reggae, steel drums, Cuban music, vendors, food trucks, and more. This event is in conjunction with Mario Lome and the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Culture of the Bahamas. For more information, please contact 702-229-2787. And so excited about this. This has been an annual tradition now probably for the past 4 years, and it has really grown. It is our Symphony Park Fine Arts Festival on Saturday, May the 25th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 361 Symphony Park Avenue, adjacent to the Smith Center for the Performing Arts. This festival is free, and it will offer children's activities, entertainment, and marketplace booths by local fine artists, artisan vendors, and hometown arts organizations representatives. Refreshments will be available for purchase. This event is presented with support from the Smith Center for the Performing Arts and the entire Symphony Park family. For more information on this and other upcoming events, visit LasVegasNevada.gov/discover or call 702-229-ARTS, ARTS 2787. You can always subscribe to our newsletter. Please reach out to Tanya Jackson, tjackson@LasVegasNevada.gov. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On April 3rd, Unidos US hosted their inaugural host committee meeting as they are bringing their conference to Las Vegas this year. They're formerly known as National Council of La Raza. That was the previous name, but they've rebranded to Unidos US. And they will be here in July hosting their conference. So Juan Cifuentes, who is my Cristo Rey intern, got to meet Janet Murguia, the longtime leader of Unidos US, who's the president and CEO. And we're just so appreciative that they're bringing this awesome offering into our community. I hope folks will look into their conference, and especially our students taking advantage of the many different sessions that will happen. On April 23rd, our city and First Friday Foundation brought Art U OK to the historic 5th Street School from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I know that the kids that attended had a blast receiving a lot of guidance and self-awareness and workshops so that they could express themselves to the best of their abilities. So I just want to, again, thank Corey Fagan for her fearless leadership and making sure that we're checking in with our little ones about their mental health and well-being. On April 23rd, we also had an Easter egg hunt at the Stupak Community Center. I want to thank our awesome city staff at Stupak for the great organization, dedication, and execution of this event. All of the families and our little ones enjoyed all of the activities made available to them that day, and it was just a really good time, and it makes me want to go do Easter egg hunts again, but I'm not being invited to them. On April 23rd, it was a busy day. We also had the Cesar Chavez screening. As we know, we commemorate Cesar Chavez Day in the state of Nevada at the end of March. And actually, it's not April, sorry. I've been saying April, and it's actually been March. March 23rd was a busy day in the ward. And so on March 23rd, we had the screening to honor Cesar Chavez's legacy, especially for the agricultural communities. And I just want to say thank you to Bill Barquin, EVP of Chavez Media and La Campesina, for their insightful testimonies on the importance and significance of celebrating Chavez's legacy. Special shout out to Make the Road Nevada, Cesar Chavez Foundation, La Campesina 96.7, Chicanos por la Causa, CPLC, and Chispa Nevada for their invaluable support in organizing this screening for our community. Tax day is around the corner, so just wanted to put in a plug that at the Mexican Consulate office, they're still offering free tax preparation services to our community. So take a picture, go to the QR code, schedule your appointment, because we only have until April 15th, I believe, is tax day. All right, again, Aquatics is hiring, so please check out their hiring fair Saturday, April 6th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Pavilion Pool, and Saturday, April 27th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Municipal Pool on 431 East Bonanza Road. So important to me because I want to see all of my swimming pools open and not limited or constrained because we don't have the lifeguards on duty. So please, please, please share this far and wide, and we want to see our pools fully staffed. Want to let the community know that there's a public meeting that Legal Aid Center is going to be hosting this upcoming Tuesday, April 9th at 5 p.m. at 725 East Charleston Boulevard. And this is a public meeting to discuss the proposed new building, which will house the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada's Advocacy and Justice Complex, where any Nevadan who has experienced the devastating trauma of violent crime can find justice and begin to heal. And so as we experienced this morning through Councilwoman's honoree, this would be a center that would receive that family with open arms and try to help them navigate the layers of things that victims have to go through. So, but this is just in reference to wanting to build out and have those offerings for the community. So again, that's happening on Tuesday, April 9th at 5 p.m. And this is about the actual building they're looking to bring in addition to Legal Aid Center. We're having a movie night in Ward 3, and we're going to be screening Barbie. And it's Friday, April 12th at 6 p.m. at Stewart Place Park. And I guess my colleagues are saying I need to wear pink. So we will rock our pink at that movie night. So join us at Stewart Place Park, 6 p.m. for Barbie. And I have not seen it, so this is going to be a real treat for me. Putting on everybody's radars, save the date, Friday, April 19th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We will be able to dispose of important documents in a safe manner, and we're basically coming together with our Las Vegas City Employees Association to offer this document shredding event at their offices, 857 Northeastern Avenue. Make sure you do not put paper clips, batteries, anything that will start a fire. And we will also be taking expired meds, but no liquids. So please, I know I'm going to start putting my piles once my tax filings are done. Last but not least, we have a Children's Day Festival and Movie Night happening at Gary Reese Freedom Park on Saturday, April 27th, 2024. The movie we're going to be viewing there is Wish. The event is happening 4 to 7 p.m. with the festival for Dia de los Niños, or Children's Day, and then we're going to have the movie to close out that night's festivities. And you know, Gary Reese is located at 850 North Mojave Road. There'll be games, activities, arts and crafts, bound houses, and much more. Parents, it's time to get the energy out of your kids, so come over for the Children's Day Festival. And that's it for me, Mayor. Folks can always get in touch with the office at 702-229-2359 or drop us a line at ward3@lasvegasnevada.gov.
Thank you. Councilwoman Polinsky, I know you're waiting with your pencil or pen ready to roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On Friday, March 22nd, I attended Mountain Ridge Little League's opening day. I had the opportunity to watch the parade of teams, meet several players, and I was honored to present them with a proclamation from all of us, and also to throw out the first pitch. The following day, this was baseball weekend, Lone Mountain Little League held their opening day festivities, which included bounce houses, raffles, and much more. I presented them with a proclamation and again had fun time throwing out the first pitch that was precise. I wish all the teams a great success and injury-free season this year. Next, last night I joined Councilwoman Bruni, Councilman Creer, and Las Vegas Metro Police Department at Northwest Area Command. The MORE teams, the COP teams, the CIT team for a first Tuesday. It was full of great information and resources for everyone who attended. I want to recognize outgoing Captain Raul Rodriguez for his incredible work and strong partnership, and give a warm welcome to Captain Noe Esparza as he assumes his new role. Next, Councilwoman Bruni and I are hosting a movie in the park this coming Friday at Knickerbocker Park, located at 10695 Durrell Lane at 7 p.m. We'll be showing Jurassic World, which I just want to remind parents is PG-13. Bring your families, blankets, chairs out for a fun-filled evening. We will be providing popcorn for free, and there will be food trucks for anyone wishing to buy dinner. Next up, I'll be hosting another shredding event at Desert Shores on Saturday, April 13th from 10 to noon at the Desert Shores Community Center parking lot. Please remember to move all metal clips, staples, and batteries before dropping off your boxes. And next, this slide features the faces of 11 children from Las Vegas who have gone missing. If you have any information, please call LV MPD Missing Person Detail at 702-828-3111. And for at-risk youth or runaways, please don't hesitate to reach out. There is always a free bus ticket home. And lastly, please stay connected with both my staff and myself anytime. Contact us any way you feel most comfortable. We're always here to provide any assistance that we can. Thank you.
Wonderful. Do you ever get good reports that we found any of these young children?
Yes, absolutely. The list and the pictures move, and it's different every council meeting because kids are found and replaced all the time.
Good. Thank you. And if not, call, get help, and we'll get you home. So thank you. Councilwoman Bruni, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations again to everyone who was recognized this morning. It was both an emotional and inspiring moment. I hope we can all take to heart Karen and Jerry Lopez's life mission to spread kindness and live a life of service. Last week, we hosted the quarterly Civilian Military Council meeting at Nellis Air Force Base. Please note that the City of Las Vegas is chairing the CMC this year. I would ask my colleagues to share any issues related to active military and veterans issues that we should be taking up for discussion. We appreciate Colonel Connor Heine's commitment to strengthening the purpose and impact of CMC. Thank you again to Steph Orochi in the Mayor's office and Blanca Lindsay on my team for making this great first meeting of the Las Vegas chair. Last Saturday, we held our first Spring Fling, where we hosted our popular pet parade, our classic car show, and fun activities for the family. Thank you to all the food and service vendors that came out, as well as our own marshals, Metro, and Las Vegas Fire and Rescue. We had a great time despite the rain. Yesterday was International Children's Book Day. Please celebrate by encouraging children to read by sharing your favorite children's books with them, or participate in a reading event at your local library, or consider donating books to your local school, library, or charity. Yesterday, I was pleased to join our community development team, several nonprofits, BLM, and our trails consultant to identify how we might organize trails along Kyle Canyon Road and connect them to La Madre Foothills. Next, if you're a young person looking for a summer job, or you have a young person at home looking for a job to keep them out of trouble, let them know that we're hosting an aquatics hiring fair this Saturday, April 6th from 10 to 2 at Pavilion Pool. Looking ahead, Ward 6 has some great events planned. Join me and Councilwoman Alan Polensky this Friday for our first movie of the season. She went over all the great details, but I'll add that we're going to have somebody from the UNLV Geology Department talk about what? Dinosaurs. On Wednesday, April 10th, we'll be hosting our small business breakfast at the Centennial Hills Y from 8:30 to 10 a.m. The event is free, but please register so we have enough food. We'll be joined by Guy Hobbs, founder of Hobbs Ong & Associates, who will talk to us about economic trends that may affect your small business. On April 11th from 9 to 11 a.m., we'll be hosting our monthly Bocaditos with Bruni at our Centennial Hills Y satellite office. Bring your concerns and questions, or just stop by to say hello. On April 13th, join us for the city's annual Bluegrass Festival at Centennial Hills Park, which is always so much fun and free. And this April 25th is Take Your Child to Work Day. Our city team has planned some great activities for the kids. So I hope to see lots of little people here at City Hall that day learning about the amazing work we do here. And who knows, maybe we'll inspire some of our youth who attend to join the city team and work their way up to become our next CFO or city manager. Mark your calendars. Eldorado Days Parade is set for May 11th. The deadline to submit your application to participate is April 26th. As always, we want to hear from you. Please call us at 702-229-5463 or email ward6@lasvegasnevada.gov. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, you've got it, we've done it, and we've got the budget going, which is the biggest piece of today, and just want to thank the team, everybody that's put in all those hours, our clerk, our technology, our public information group that sits so patiently through all of this, and just everybody that's tuned in and cares about this community. You got a great group of people here working, taking care of every need that you might have that's possible. And your colleagues here on City Council are tremendous, as is each one of their staff. So thank you all. Our next council meeting is Wednesday, April 17th. And until then, stay safe, stay involved, and make sure that you take care of each other. We are adjourned.